sip our worries away, nice and slow. Your laughter ripples like sweet warm wine. In this jazzy sultry space you're mine. The saxophone croons a velvet tune, while melodies dance beneath the moon. We'll toast to moments both grand and small, in this hazy, lazy, jazz-touched hall. But let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you. Your eyes, they sparkle with every click. Sweet rendezvous over a simple drink. We'll share our secrets in whispers low, just you and me where the jazz flows slow. The world outside fades into the mist, but here it's our own dreamy tryst. With each sip our worries drift away. Let's stay together till the break of day. So let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you.
The following live stream has been approved for appropriate audiences. It may contain occasional strong language and may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer inebriation is advised, though not mandatory.
Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome to Last Call, where tonight we welcome back returning guest host Sir Toren Clegane to talk about a niche of entertainment you might not have a great deal of experience with, but if you have any, it's probably way too much. I'm talking about the daily daytime dramas often referred to as soap operas, or telenovelas for the Latinos among us. This is an often overlooked area of storytelling with a fandom that has far more in common with those of the franchises you may be more familiar with than you might realize. So settle in, top off your glasses, tell me what you're sipping on in the chat, and we'll roll out this Canarble Wagon right after a special dedication and a little fanfare.
Last Call is streamed before a live audience.
Hit it, boys. Here's to the shows, those daytime shows, where the plot will hardly ever go just how you suppose. She murdered him out so dark as a ghost. Thank goodness they're still in love. Look at that set, the best we could get. We shot it in New York, but made it look like Tibet. The wind machine's fixed, so the hurricane blows on those fabulous daytime shows. All of America, put on your TVs. There isn't anything we wouldn't do to please you while you eat lunch or while cleaning your house. Just turn us on and see somebody cheat on their spouse. Here's to the show, those daytime shows where you can never really tell your friends from your foes. So come see the cons being played by the pros on those fabulous daytime shows. Here's to the cast, we're having a blast. Has anybody ever learned to speak so fast? The beautiful girls, the great-looking guys. Tonight's the night you'll see if you go home with a prize. The director, the crew, and the writers too. Without their help, there wouldn't be a show you do. And thanks to the band, we're so glad that you chose watching fabulous daytime shows. Monday through Friday, we're brought to you by some wonderful new products you should really try. Some of the sponsors will love it, and you ought to know. If no one buys their products, that's the end of our show. To the show, the daytime show. We hope that the producer lets us keep these so low. We love your applause and your bravissimos for our fabulous daytime. It's not the daytime. Fabulous daytime show.
Not only am I not on camera, I am muted. That is not good. Well, Vasaluth everyone, and welcome to the stream. Happy Friday. Yes, we are talking those fabulous daytime shows, the daytime dramas, the soap operas, the telenovelas, whatever you choose to call them. Bear with me if you're not a fan of soap operas. Maybe by the end of this stream, you'll at least come to appreciate them. As you can probably tell, right over my shoulder, I'm sipping on Clark and Sheffield. I don't know. That's probably a double. It's 2 fingers, but it's a big glass. So it's been a week. I think I earned this. Let's go ahead and bring in the chat. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's bring in everybody. Let's start with our well, you know what? Let's work our way bottom to top. Starting with Netter of Netter's Network. How you doing, my dear? And what are you sipping on?
I'm doing okay, and I'm sipping on a cherry seltzer water.
Cherry seltzer water. That's perfectly fine. She's the bouncer. She needs to keep her head. And welcome. And how about you, Agent Boomer? How you doing and what you sipping on?
I have a Coca-Cola Classic, and I'm doing okay.
There you go. Coca-Cola Classic. It still has corn syrup in it, but here's hoping that'll be turning around.
It's poison. In fact, what I might do is I might see if there's any. I know sometimes around Passover time you can get yourself some Pepsi sugar with the sugar in it, so maybe I'll switch.
Yes. Well, if you go to the ethnic aisle, the Mexican Coca-Cola has regular cane sugar in it.
You know what I really like? I like Mexican Fanta even more. The orange drink.
I have heard that too,
Yes.
and I even saw a video where they did a taste test of Fanta from around the world, and different ones tasted different. Different ones had different coloring because some of them used natural colorings, and they agreed that all the other countries were better than the United States, and these were people from the U.S. that were doing this stuff. So.
Yeah, we've got some problems.
But here's the upside. Did you see today that maybe it was yesterday, I'm not sure, but Steak and Shake is going to switch from seed oil to beef tallow for their potatoes. And they're like, you know what? This is the way it always was. And thanks to the current Secretary of Health, we're going to switch back to tallow. And if you don't like that, if you want to be a vegan, sorry, don't eat our French fries.
That sounds
I'm
better.
all for that. In fact, I shared their tweet on mine and said and tagged McDonald's and said, "Hey, you guys paying attention here?" So we'll see what happens.
I heard recently Chick-fil-A changed their fries, and the one guy that does the fast food reviews, he got really angry about it.
In what way did they change them?
They're now all crispy. They're using like a different oil, but he says they're just not good anymore. He doesn't like them like the old. Not everything has to be crispy. He liked the old waffle fries they used to make at Chick-fil-A. He says the new ones aren't as good.
I didn't
They
even
don't
notice
taste
the
good.
difference.
Yeah.
The more potatoey they are, the better. Because if I want crispy fries, I'll go to the little shoestring ones. I don't.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, let us welcome our very special returning guest bartender, Sir Toren Clegane. How are you doing, my friend? And what are you sipping on tonight?
I'm doing well. Not really sipping on anything, but luckily I've got water nearby.
Yes, stay hydrated. I know that you have to work tomorrow, so if you do got to drop out on us, I understand. But we're looking at 2 hours on a regular night, so make sure you stay hydrated.
Plus, you're going first, Troy, because I figured there was less to do with your character, so I figured I'd have you go first.
Oh, fair. But before we get to that, before we get to all of that, I want to say hi to the real stars of the show. And that is, of course, the Martini Gallery, all of you in the chat, starting with FKHC 2005, whom we lovingly call Tim. Salute. Well, because that's his name, exactly. And he was first. So hail to you. And, of course, hail to Connie Cleary, the bird woman of YouTube. And Curtis Selby. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. And I'll hold that comment until I get to somebody else. First, we're getting a Films with Friends raid because I believe that Big Al and Deleted Scenes were watching The Black Hole tonight. I wanted to watch that, but I was so behind on getting stuff together for tonight's stream, I didn't get a chance.
That's a disturbing movie.
Yeah, I guess it kind of is, especially if you're back at the time. If you were used to what Disney usually did, it was a surprise. It was a surprise, to be sure. Welcome, of course, Netter of Netters Network. I love you too, sweetheart. And there he is. Salute to Deleted Scenes. No, I forgot what I was going to say. Something about Deleted Scenes, something about, oh damn, I've forgotten. But anyway, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I've only had a couple sips, so it's not the alcohol. It's just I'll blame it on old. How's that? JPRPH1, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. And of course, Mananui stops in to say hi. Good to see you. Jesse Guajardo, hello to everyone, and hello to you as well, Jesse Guajardo. And of course, every stream is always blessed by Ruby Hoove, gifting one membership to, in this case, it was Keebler Danger No Sugar Coating Truth was gifted a membership by Ruby Hoove. So welcome to the Martini Gallery. Keebler Danger No Sugar Coating Truth, and thank you again, Ruby Hoove. You are so kind. I so appreciate your continued patronage. You are just wonderful. Let's see here. And of course she says hi back. Thank you so much. Hi and purr. Thank you. And Bear with me. I don't want to miss nobody. Like our friend, the Admiral, Kapla, Admiral Evelyn Hampton. Good evening, everyone. Sipping on a room temperature water. Whatever you prefer. Room temperature, cold, heated. I'll have a hot water. No tea, just hot water. Let's see. Oh, this aged boomer is saying hi from the from the Martini Gallery.
Got a howdy.
If I wasn't medically advised against it, or have to work tomorrow, I would have a couple. Yeah, I don't blame you, my friend. I certainly understand that. Although, when it comes to me, if the doctor says anything about not drinking, I consider that more of a suggestion than anything else. I just went to Chick-fil-A and got waffle fries, and they were still good. Okay, good to hear. Yeah, no, Netter and I mean, how recent was this, Boomer? I mean,
like a month or two ago. Maybe they switched them back out of after the outcry.
I don't know, but Netter and I go on a reasonably regular basis.
Were they floppy like they used to be? Or were they very crispy?
Netter, do you remember?
They're same as always.
Okay, then they must have dialed it back. Different. Maybe they were testing it out in this guy's market. He was. I think it's.
I would find it very difficult to believe that any kind of oil would necessarily make the fries as they're cut, those waffle fries, in any way crispy, because those are pretty fat fries. They're almost like steak fries. So that's kind of why I like. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like McDonald's fries. I like crispy fries, but Chick-fil-A fries are something altogether different, and I like the potato-iness of them.
They're very potato-y.
It makes me think of vodka. So I figure that's pretty good. So anyway. So let's get to our topic tonight. So we were talking with Sir Toren, behind the scenes, chit chatting, because if you follow me on MeWe, we've got a group link in the description so that we can keep the conversation going, throughout the week. There's also a Discord. I think I gotta send out the Discord link again to the members, because the members may not all be on there, and I haven't been doing much with it other than just dropping the links to the streams. But we can get conversations going there too. That would be a thing too. But yeah, so we're talking over in MeWe, and he was like, "Hey, let's we've talked about soap operas before. Let's go back to that. Talk about our favorite characters." Well, actually, you know what? Maybe instead of me going through the whole backdrop, Sir Toren, why don't you explain? Because you had this whole story about when you had wanted to do this stream, and then someone had passed away, and you were like, "Oh, now would be a good time," but then it wasn't the right time. We went like a whole year and didn't get around to this topic. So if you wanted to,
Okay, yeah, no, thankfully I wrote this down. So originally I wanted to broach the topic around the new year in 2024, when I found out that Bill Hayes had died. He had played Doug Williams on Days of Our Lives.
Exactly.
And but every time I wanted to bring it up, it ended up I just set it aside. Figured sometime in the summer would be a good idea. Then summer.
Let me interrupt you real quick. Did I get my dates wrong, or did Bill Hayes and Leslie Ann Charlson die on the same day 1 year apart?
Let me see.
January 12th of 2024, January 12th of 2025. Or did I make a mistake? That's entirely possible too.
She passed on the 12th this year, and you're right.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. And so, the summer went by. I didn't say anything. Then when we were watching Eight-Legged Freaks, which was September 28th, I was looking through the recent deaths on Wikipedia, as I want to do. I have an odd habit with that. And I found out that Drake Hogestyn. I have a hard time pronouncing that name still. He who played John Black on Days of Our Lives, he passed away from pancreatic cancer like a day before his 71st birthday. And that night after the stream was over, I broached the topic to you, and you said, we need to, like the holidays are coming up, and can we wait till the beginning of the new year? And I said, oh, that was fine. And I started because I had been thinking, maybe we should cover characters this time around. And I had been during the summer, I'd been trying to figure out if I could nail down every aspect of John Black's story. So while I was at work, I'd be doing this, walking through the parking lot, getting carts, doing all that. And I said, okay, well, let's go with characters, because very few characters in daytime, as much as people like to say writers make up whatever they want for them, very few change this characters at their convenience. They usually stick to the primary background. So,
Right.
I was waiting to the end of the year, and then as fate would have it, Wayne Northrup passed away. And he was the original Roman Brady, who Drake was originally brought in to replace.
Correct.
Then Tom Christopher passed away. He was never on Days, but he was on One Life to Live.
He absolutely was. He played a mobster named, what was his name?
Carlo Hesser.
Carlo Hesser. That's right. That was right in the time that. Now you guys are going to have to forgive me because I am going to forget details. We're looking at 30 years since I've seen these soaps, but I was real into them at the time. I'll get to that later, but as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Hawk from Buck Rogers. And my mom was like, oh my gosh, it is. So second season, Buck Rogers, and you saw it in the tribute that I did. I did a whole slide for that because I realized that the Martini Galley would probably relate to that a little bit better. And the fact is, if I did my research, I'll bet you that a lot of these actors have been in stuff you've seen besides these soap operas. I did mostly stick to the soap operas they were in, but Tom Christopher playing Hawk, that was a big one. I mean, he was the only thing that really made that second season of Buck Rogers worth watching, in my opinion. Just saying. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go on.
And so then, beginning of the year, as stated earlier, Leslie Charleston passed, like a year apart. And so I felt, starting with these characters, it would be a good choice. And I will say that I did not know about the tribute video you were planning on.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I need to bring up a picture, and I got to see how I can do that easily. You know what? I wonder if there's a way I can easily share. I hope you don't mind, Al. That I mean, you sent it to me during the stream. I figured you kind of intended for me to go ahead and share this. Let me see here. How can I bring this up easily? Let me go back to the. No, that's probably not how I want to do this. Let me go right here. You guys can all still hear me, right?
Yep.
And add myself to this because they might not hear me if I'm not actually in the shot. And then add a layer. Can I just share my screen? Media share. No, that's Sorry, folks. It was bound to happen eventually. I hit a wrong button and I took myself out, but I'm back again. Let me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Add new layer. There should be. Can I just share my screen? Screen share. Here we go. Here we go. Um. Nope. That doesn't help me any. How about this? Can I do this? Oh, yeah. I can literally drag and drop to bring something in. Uploading. Give it a second. It's thinking. Come on. It's not that difficult. Let's try this. Copy. Paste. Son of a gun. I know there's got to be a way. Add new layer. Well, you know what? Maybe I just save this to my desktop. Okay, come on. Save it, save it, save it, save it. And media file from my desktop. This is worth it, guys. It really is. Here we go. Add to screen. There we go. Can you guys see that? That's Big Al with Tom Christopher. Isn't that neat? Isn't that neat? That had to have been some time ago. I mean, I want to say that's got to have been about 20 years ago based on how he looks. You know, I'm talking about Tom Christopher, not Big Al. But so there you go. Wow, how cool is that? That is pretty cool. But anyway, that was a little bit of a divergence. I wanted to share that with you guys because I thought that was so cool that that Big Al was sharing that in the chat. But yeah, I've actually now come to think of it, I don't think I've ever met anyone from Buck Rogers with the well. I was at a convention that Aaron Gray and Gil Gerard was at, and I saw them, but I didn't actually get to meet them. But whatever. Anyway.
Now the Buck Rogers theme song is stuck in my head.
Dun, 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 dun,
It's a great theme song. Admit it. It's one of the great
TV
themes.
Or Far Beyond.
That's the one. Yes.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well,
no, that one works better as an instrumental.
They kind of riff off each other, though, if you think about it. I mean, they go well together.
Yeah. What was it? It was so obviously it was the premiere episode that used the ballad version with the vocals. And then for the most part, every episode after that was the instrumental, you know. But they sometimes closed with the ballad, and I'm like, don't do that, please, just don't. You know, it was anyway. Sorry, I got off on a tangent there on you, Sir Toren. Let's continue.
Right. No, well, I was just thinking as you were saying that you know I wasn't aware of the tribute video you had played at the beginning. So what I want to say next may ring a little hollow.
Oh, what's that?
That I wanted to say that, you know, with the ones that have gone ahead of us, for Bill, for Drake, for Wayne, for Tom, and for Leslie, this one's for you.
No, Vasalud, absolutely. I agree with you, man.
Drink to that.
There you go. Yeah, I'll actually drink because I'm actually on camera. Oh, there we go. But yeah, those kind of really get to me, and so I did want, and this doesn't require any slides or anything like that, but I do want to give the primer. Oh, and I did want to bring up the comment that Big Al was saying. He said he was a super nice guy. I got that impression. I really did. he played such a range of roles. When you look at him as Hawk, when you look at him as Carlo Hesser, when you know, he was in a couple of other one shots that I saw, and he played such a range of characters. It's like, yeah, he's an actor. He absolutely can turn on the villain mode and turn it off. And it's my impression that most of these people are pretty good people. If they're meeting their fans, that's got to be incredibly encouraging to them. I can certainly understand that. So there you go. But good on you, Big Al, and thanks for sharing that with us. But what I wanted to share with everybody is you have to understand that these stories were in a lot of ways, they're no different from any of the other dramas that you watch on TV on a weekly basis. Now, obviously, the closest analogs would be the nighttime or the primetime soaps that were weekly. Dynasty, Dallas, Knots Landing, and so forth. But in a lot of ways, the same writers that wrote for those shows wrote for a lot of the kinds of shows that you are fans of. Shows like The Incredible Hulk and Wonder Woman and $6 Million Man. It was some of the same writers, and you might not even realize that. And when you kind of pay attention to the storylines, they weren't far off from those soap opera-esque type stories, but they'd throw in the supernatural elements or the superpowers or the sci-fi elements or whatever that is. And now, come to think of it, I realize that the soap operas, the daytime dramas, had a lot of that stuff in it too.
Yeah.
I remember the in One Life to Live, there was this whole storyline of a secret underground what was it? It was
a secret room behind the fireplace.
And it led to an underground caverns that connected to caves where there was an underground society called Eternia. And Victoria had a relationship with a guy she met there, and that's how she had the character I'll be talking about later on tonight, a girl by the name of Megan. But yes, yeah, there's and they retcon these stories all the time, just like the comics. There was a whole lot of that kind of stuff. They replaced actors and actresses from time to time playing the same characters, so sometimes you had to pay attention, you had to keep up. And when I say supernatural, think about what was that show, Netter, with Barnabas Collins?
Dark Shadows.
Dark Shadows, right? It was all about a vampire, and there was werewolves and magic, and then there was a show that I think that Sir Toren's going to tell us a little bit more about, called Days of Our Lives, where they had a character possessed by the devil. Hold on a second. Yeah, so Netter said there might not have been sound. You might not have heard it. And
I heard it on my side.
Well, but it's perfectly fine if you didn't. There wasn't much dialogue. I'm like, I don't know if it was dubbed or if the actress's voice was dropped.
Augmented.
Yeah, like really low. But
what I thought was funny, I'll show you. I'll give you split pea soup.
I'll give you a split pea soup. And oh my gosh, the horrible. I have to imagine that was early days of CG. That was, and then when she's jumping, flying out, what I had no idea. Okay, I get where they were going with this. They took a lot of cues from The Exorcist. But she had Superman's laser beam eyes. That's what got me. I was like,
well, maybe that's a power
God.
Satan hasn't revealed yet. You
I mean, it probably would have been cooler if it had just been like super strength to rip it out. But
that would have made more sense.
Whatever. And then that bit at the end, bye, goodbye, bye. I'm like, what am I watching here?
That was something. The best part about that story is the dude who wrote that created Passions.
Oh, okay. That was the half-hour one on ABC, right? On the same
network. Same network. It was an hour long. It was the one where it was the one with the human doll.
Huh.
And I have no idea, but wow.
Yeah, it was. Did you ever? Do you remember The Grinch, the one with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
The guy that played the younger version of the Grinch, that was him.
Okay. Yeah. But my understanding is, and was that a Halloween special? Not necessarily.
No,
they
that
do
was
this
like
kind of stuff at any old time, just for spits and giggles. They throw this stuff in.
We'll get into it later. There's probably more to go with that.
Oh yeah.
This Electra Woman and Dyna Girl sequel looks weird. It is that kind of special effects, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Look, sometimes you got that kind of weird crap in there. Sometimes you got very simple stage style in-camera stuff that was like, wow, okay, I can respect that, right? Things like, the heavy wind and the diaphanous outfit, and she's a ghost, right? No one else can see her. Okay. And it's all practical on screen the way you would do it if you were doing a live production. But then sometimes they do just weird crap and it'd be like, you'd have been better off not doing that. Welcome, Nate. I'm glad you got a laugh out of that. I had to find a way to work that in there. But it kind of worked out kind of perfectly. I had that set up to mess with you. I saw that one of the pictures that I had put into the slide had that girl with the eyes, and I'm like, and then I got this message, this DM from Boomer. He's like, what the heck did I just watch? And he sends me a link, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh, I got to use that. I just got to use that. It's just, oh my God,
Yeah, apparently that made a resurgence again a few years ago, but we'll get into that. I'm sure Sir Toren's going to have
They did have a tendency to return to these different stories, but yeah.
Or like a villain you thought was dead comes back, that sort of thing, or
even main characters you thought were dead and brought back. The character I'll be talking about tonight, my understanding is they brought her back when another character was killed off, like to meet her in heaven or whatever. And I'm like, that's pretty cool, that they do that, But anyway, so yeah, let's go ahead and get into the slideshow.
Let's do it.
You based it on Sir Toren's notes, so
I have your stuff in there first.
Oh, okay. Well, let's.
I figure we wouldn't be spending as much time on her, but I don't know. But yeah, and I did my best with Sir Toren's notes, but keep in mind I'm not as familiar, so it may hop around a bit when we get to that. But we'll just go with it. All right.
That's fair.
Okay. All right.
Most of the soaps he's talking about, I didn't watch. I watched All My Children a little bit, One Life to Live for a period of time religiously.
Okay.
I was aware of.
Well, I just did one character for the each of you. Is that what I was supposed to do?
Oh, that's
Okay.
perfectly.
Okay. All right. Oh, you want me to start going? Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. Let's see
Okay, I
what we
guess
got
I'm in
going
charge
on.
of this rodeo, huh? All right. Megan Gordon of One
Oh
Life to
God.
Live.
Yes. So Megan, played by the lovely Jessica Tuck. Most of you, I am making an
That's not her,
assumption
right?
that
That's
is not her. I believe that
is that
was,
her?
well, that's her mother,
Hold on.
Victoria Lord Buchanan. And that's exactly the storyline I was talking about, the attorney and whatnot. You'll notice that the dude holding a gun to her chest, who at the time she thought was the father of Megan, turned out he wasn't. They had met when she was younger, and this was a retcon sort of a situation. She had met him as a teenager, had a child with him that was supposedly Megan. Turned out not to be the case. There was another guy that we'll talk about later, maybe, but I'm forgetting the actor's name. Oh, give me a second. He played a Vulcan. No. Romulan on Star Trek The Next Generation. I believe he was the dude that was the head of that
Tal
colony
Shiar?
with the Klingons. No,
Oh,
not
that
the Tal
one. Okay.
Shiar. Let's see if I
This
can
where
find
they
it.
were raising the Klingon kids. The Romulans were raising the Klingon
Yeah.
kids. Yeah, that was a weird situation there. Remember, and they were having
Let me
arguments
see
with
if I
them because the kids wanted to go out hunting. That was a thing. I remember that.
Let's see. No, it wasn't him. Let's see. What was his name? It wasn't Half a Life. It wasn't that. It was, oh gosh. Um I can't find it now. And if Mark was in the well, actually maybe Evelyn remembers. Maybe Evelyn can help us out if she's still there. Anyway, this was a very common thing. You would see these characters in Star Trek or whatever you were watching, and you go, "Oh, well, actually, it started with my mother. I'd be watching Star Trek, and she'd like, "Oh, that's so and so from whatever soap opera it was she watched," and I'd be like, "Okay, mom. Okay, mom." And then when I started watching the soap operas, then I'd be watching Star Trek or whatever, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's Carlo Hesser from One Life to Live. That's so and so and so and so." But real quick, I want to call out the character on the left in this picture. That's Tina Lord, played by the lovely Andrea Evans. Andrea Evans of local to me, the Lagrange Park area. So we grew up in the same area. She played, if I remember correctly, it was Victoria's sister. I want to say Victoria's sister from 78 to 90. But there was a brief recasting in the 90s. She was played by a Kelly Maroney in 1984, and I don't remember her very well, but whom I do remember was from 1990 to 1994. The character was played by Karen Witter. And for those of you that are so inclined, might want to look up Playboy Playmate Karen Witter.
Oh, okay.
Very attractive, very blonde, which didn't make a lot of sense to me since Andrea Evans was a redhead, so I didn't really get that. But whatever. You can't tell from this picture because it's kind of blown out by the light. Oh gosh, and help me out here. What is the girl in the top center? You mentioned her name earlier, Boomer. Behind the scenes.
Oh, did I?
Yes, you did. I'm forgetting her character name and the actress's name, and I knew both at the time. Anyway, you had mentioned an actress, and you said, I wonder if you'll be talking about her. That's her, and I can't remember her name now. Anyway, and you don't remember either.
When did this whole storyline happen? Was this in the 70s?
This was in the 80s.
Oh, it was in the 80s. Okay.
I have to imagine it was the late 80s. I started watching this when I was in college. Oh, no. I take this back. I was class of 89 in high school. So this had to be like 89 to like 92, 93.
So there was a secret society underground.
Yep, called Eternia. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and, that was the storyline here.
And I heard she got brain hypnotized into thinking that she didn't have another daughter. Is that right?
Exactly. She had forgotten that she had Megan. Exactly.
Okay.
Because Megan was the older sister. The younger sister was Sarah. And there she is with her mother and daughter. And this was after my time when they retired the character of Vicky. I guess they killed her off, and the two of them met up in heaven. Which I heard was a real sweet story.
And was that a rival of hers?
If it was, I don't remember.
I don't believe so, because...
Yes, that was Max. Max. Damn it. I can't remember Max's name.
Max? Oh, this guy. Okay.
Yes, Max Holden. And he was married to the girl I was just talking about in the previous frame.
I see.
And I can't remember. And they had a kid together, too. Let's see if based on that. See, this is how you do. You jog my memory, right? So Max Holden married to who? No, not her. Let's see. Max Holden was married to oh gosh, what was her name?
Look,
his brother was Stephen Finola Hutchinson. Played the actress Gabriella Medina. That was the girl in that scene.
Was the actress you were saying I was telling you about Finola Hughes?
Oh, Finola Hughes was.
That's why I asked you about the other night.
Dramas.
Yeah,
but this is where I made the confusion. I thought you were talking about Fiona Hutchinson. My confusion.
Okay, that's right. But I did want to.
This is what happens, guys, when it's been 30 years since I saw these shows. Here's Megan. Okay, so Megan, and I'm forgetting the bloke's name. A lot of you guys might remember him from Medicine Woman. What was it? Something.
Dr. Quinn. He was Sully?
Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. Right. That's what it was.
He was Sully, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I don't remember what his name was on this show.
Okay.
What was it?
Jake Harrison.
Jake. Oh, God. Very good. Thank you, Sir Toren. Yes.
So that's a pretty woman right there.
And so I was talking about Jessica Tuck here, right? And didn't you say, Sir Toren, she was on another soap that you watched?
She was on very briefly. She appeared as when they introduced this one character on Days, Jessica Tuck came in and was playing the mother.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
She wasn't on the show for very long. She just kind of sort of entered, and they killed her character off, and then ended up revealing the true paternity of the kid.
Gotcha.
Oh,
real
Orville
quick, I want to thank PJ from Orville Nation. Thank you so much. Pair character punching the air with fist and bump written on his knuckles because it's a super sticker. Now Evie Mux is starting to describe it to me, which is interesting because they didn't do that on StreamYard. So thank you, Evie Mux, and thank you so much, Orville Nation, for the $3 super sticker. You are very, very sweet. And he's, of course, saying hi to everybody. Make sure you're following Orville Nation, especially if you are an Orville fan. Or a Star Trek fan, or really any fandom fan. Follow him. He's the reason that Netter and I push to support other creators, because together we grow. And of course, that meant that Nate had to respond with a pair character stretching his arms forward, raising his thumbs up. Thank you so much for $3. Again, I really appreciate it. Bringing it back to Jessica Tuck, those of you in the fandom remember a show on HBO called True Blood. It was a vampire soap opera, supernatural soap opera.
She was the one that was the PR lady, right?
Yes, she was the head of
PR lady.
Well, she was the head of the vampire. No. Yeah, you're right. She was the PR person. She wasn't.
She would go on like Bill Maher and things like that. And
the
talk
queen
about
of the vampires was the one that appeared in Westworld. I forget her name.
Yes.
But yeah, she was the.
She would go on the news programs to talk about vampire rights and how we're not dangerous, that sort of thing. Yes, I remember.
Exactly. And she. Let's just say that the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, pretty girl really shined on that show. I liked her character very much. But of course, I'm watching the show and I'm like, hey, that's Megan from One Life to Live. You know, she had this really great storyline with what's his name again? What's the character's name?
Jake Harrison.
Jake, right? Who was kind of a bad boy, who kind of reformed because of her, and he was the romantic interest that was heartbroken when she died. She, I want to say, was it lupus that she had?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. That was rough. I honestly. This had to be 1993 when this storyline happened. The reason I remember that is because I remember being upset when this happened and calling Netter at work. And she's like, Troy, it's time for you to get back to work and get the hell out of the house. You're watching too many soap operas. I was a mess. And I'm like, yeah. You're probably right about that. No doubt about it. But yeah.
Well, you get to know these characters. They become part of your daily life, and then they die. Yeah. Look at that. I feel so bad.
Is right. It was like every day, for an hour. 5 days a week, that's how it goes. I mean, they sang about it.
This is a tough disease. I had a childhood friend that died of it. Yeah.
So what was funny is this was that kind of Inception kind of thing, right? She was playing an actress who appeared in a soap opera within this soap opera. And her rival on the show was the gal Sky that you guys saw in the opening. And obviously there was a storyline with machinations where Sky was trying to keep her out of the song and dance bit for the Daisy Awards, these fictional awards for daytime drama on on the show. And obviously I clipped the beginning and end because I figured the storyline wasn't important. The song and dance bit was, but it was kind of funny because she had finagled it so that Megan wouldn't be able to be in the show, and she starts it without her, and she gets herself somehow into makeup and hair, and oh boys, and she throws off the coat, and she's got her dress on underneath, and only in a soap opera does that work, but it worked really, really well. Love the end of that, where through the whole thing, Sky is trying to stand in front of her and push her off stage and everything. Finally, at the end, she stands in front of her, but then the guys lift her up over her behind her. I thought that was that just always stuck with me. That's why I got that clip forever on the computer.
So this was sad, though. And her mom, of course, the whole thing started with her not realizing this was her daughter, and she didn't get along with this character for a while, right?
For a long time, she didn't. Yeah. And then even once she realized Megan was like, I don't care, whatever, and they ended up resolving. In fact, what's interesting, so the actress on the right side there, that's correct me on this, Sir Torren, it was Erica Elenia? No, Erica Slezak, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Erica Slezak, a famous father, in fact, played Victoria Lord, eventually Victoria Lord Buchanan. But in her early days, before I started watching the show, she had a long-running storyline where she had a multiple personality disorder. Her alternate personality was Nikki Smith. That's right. And my mother said something to me as I was watching the show with her in college. She said, and she was telling me this whole backstory. So think about, when you start getting into comics and you got a friend who's telling you all the backstory on certain characters and how they were introduced and all that kind of stuff, right? Or you're watching YouTube videos or whatever, right? And she said, this actress is so good that you can tell when she's playing Victoria, when she's playing Nikki, and when she's playing one pretending to be the other. That's how good an actress she is, if you pay attention. And sure enough, when it came up later on, I was like, my mom was right. She's that good an actress. I can kind of get it. The only other actress, well, this isn't a trope you see often enough to be able to give this attribution, but and I know people are gonna at me for this, but that Maslany girl, the one that most recently played She-Hulk, she was in a show called
Black something.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. She played 25 friggin' characters or something.
It's their
like
clones.
Because they were all clones. And yeah, Netter's having a hard time remembering it too. We watched
That's because you're talking and I can't think.
Sorry. But it was
Orphan Black.
Orphan Black. That's see, I was trying to put the black at the beginning. It's Orphan Black. She played clones, all different characters, raised by different parents and all this kind of stuff. And she did such a phenomenal job.
My favorite was the crazy one.
They were kind of all crazy.
No, the one with the blondish hair that was all unkempt.
Oh yeah,
and she would go around
was that the one with the Russian accent?
Yeah.
She was really good.
My favorite.
Yeah, I got to go back and watch that show. I watched one episode of She-Hulk. Screw that show. But
do a rewatch of it.
I'll do a rewatch of it. Yeah, I'll get around to that. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's where an actress can really shine, is when they play those multiple characters and they do it really, really well. Mm-hmm. And when she was originally cast as She-Hulk, I told Netter, I'm like, oh, she's going to be great. Because this is multiple personality kind of thing. We saw Orphan Black and Netter's like, oh yeah, this is going to be great. We watched the first episode and we're like, fuck this shit. Just, oh crap. Anyway, so no, not blaming the actress. I'm just saying bad writing, but anyway, so yeah, and I'm sorry. Remind me, Sir Torren. Erica's passed too, hasn't she?
Oh no, she's still alive. Sadly, her daughter passed.
It was her daughter. Oh, that's right. In real life.
Yes.
Man, that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, great actress from a great lineage. Her father, I don't remember his name, but Walter Slezak. Right. IMDb him. In fact, I would be surprised if Deleted Scenes doesn't know him. The crazy Russian one was my favorite too, he says. Yeah. I'm with you. But yeah, so Megan Gordon, that was an incredible arc. Thought her father was one person, then she realized that her father was somebody else, and then found out that she had a sister in a character named Sarah Gordon. Sarah Gordon, who was married to.
Is that the sister?
If it is, I'm not. I
It's
don't.
probably okay.
It looks a lot like her, but I don't think that was her.
Okay.
Sarah was married to the guy, a guy named Bo Buchanan. You saw him in that opening clip. He was the one that she kind of like. I don't remember what the line from the song is, but she tickles him under the chin and then pushes him back into the chair. That was Bo. And he had dated, I almost said Jessica Tuck. He dated Megan shortly, but then he ended up with her sister. That was another one where I think she was played by a different actress. So that might have actually been her that you showed, and I didn't realize it. I only remembered the one actress. That was the so there was this whole story. Okay, I gotta talk about Bo and Sarah. Bo was citing a poem that I think was fictional. I think they made it up for the show, where I believe the line that he quoted from the poem was, take a chance with me, Paradise, what have we to lose? And he started calling her Paradise. And they didn't really explain why until the very end of their storyline. But there was a song, and this is where rights get involved and all this kind of stuff. This is why we have so many problems with comic books and movies and stuff. It's because of copyright. Look, if you're a fan of something and you send your fan fiction in, they're not ever going to be able to use it for legal reasons. But a fan wrote a song, sent it into One Life to Live, kind of dedicated to Bo and Sarah. It was called Hello Paradise. And they never played the song completely through, but it was an endogesis, is that the word? Where it's a song within the production. So like they'd be playing the radio and they'd hear the song. And they'd be like, oh, and it kind of became their song, right? And you'd only ever hear snippets of it. And the biggest part of it they played was when the character died. And Bo was talking at her funeral. And he's talking about why he called her Paradise. And he, quoted that poem. And he said, because wheresoever she was, for me, that was paradise. So I knew that when I met the one, she was going to be paradise to me. And that's why I call her Paradise. And so I took that song and I took every clip that I could find of it and did an, audio edit of it to put as much of the full song together as possible. And I had all the lyrics and I had all the music and it sounded like crap. So what I did was I took it to a buddy of mine who was a professional musician. And I said, would you be able to do a recording of this that I could give to Netter for our anniversary? And he did. We got an audio recording of it, and it's just beautiful. There's probably, snippets of it out there on the internet. If you want to look up Hello Paradise, One Life to Live, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube or something. But yeah, this is how these kinds of stories really, really impact us. And I feel like I didn't bring up this super chat from Nate, so let me bring it up now. Oh yeah, no, it was the thumbs up super sticker. Thank you, my friend. I super appreciate it. But he then later said, Rachel Weisz did a limited series called Dead Ringers, where she played twins. I know that name. She was so good, you could tell which sister she was just from walking into the room. There was a character on All My Children. Help me out again, Sir Toren. He played twin brothers.
Oh, Adam and Stuart Chandler.
Adam and Stuart Chandler. Oh, my God. Adam Chandler was an asshole. He was a rich business guy asshole. And his brother Stuart was autistic, I assume. Right?
They never specified, but he
clearly had some sort of an intelligence issue.
Some kind of disability, yes.
But he was the nicest guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cute that sometimes he would try to pretend to be his brother to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell. You could very, very well tell it was him. And it was very much like if you ever saw David Hasselhoff in Jekyll and Hyde. We're so used to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde being this huge transformation with like makeup and all this kind of stuff. But when David Hasselhoff did, it was really just, facial contortions and messing up his hair. Well, that's kind of what Adam and Stuart were. Stuart's hair was a little bit messed up and he walked all kind of silly and he was all kind of cute, think Lenny, from Of Mice and Men. Now look at the rabbits, George. And Adam was, of course, perfectly coiffed, and he was a lot like Lionel Luthor from Smallville. That was, and they would every now and again be in the same scene, so you'd have the split screen. And you really appreciated what they did with the show and the limited special effects they had. But God, yeah, that was all. I didn't watch a lot of All My Children, but yeah, that was All My Children. And there was a lot of crossovers on the same network. So All My Children, One Life to Live, General Hospital. And there was one other on that channel that was a half hour, and I can't remember what the hell it was.
There were a couple actually. I kind of worked through because I was trying to figure out how many actors were on different shows as different characters.
Yeah.
And there was General Hospital, and it had two spinoffs. It had Port Charles, and it had Night Shift, but they happened in different decades.
I don't remember Night Shift at all, but
then there was All My Children, One Life to Live, Ryan's Hope, which you didn't know was part of the universe until maybe 2013. Because
I had no idea. I never even. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, they because they did a crossover where one of the characters found out that she was the daughter of Delia Ryan.
Yeah.
And then the last one was was called Loving.
I remember Loving. Yeah. I didn't watch the show. I just knew of it. There was a storyline in the ABCs where there was a villain character. I don't know if he'd escaped from prison or he was on the run from the police. He showed up in General Hospital in Port Charles, and he was crossing through Pennsylvania. So he ended up in Landview, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going through Ohio, and he was picked up in Ohio and taken to the Ohio State Penitentiary, which I know he's not here in the chat, but longest running superhero RPG in history lives in the Mansfield area, which is where that prison was. So my mom was like, "Oh, we know that area," and I got to see that prison when I went to visit them one time. So yeah. But a little bit of that crossing of the real world and the fictional world. I actually, back in the late 80s, early 90s, I was real in, speaking of DC Comics role-playing game, I was real into I didn't play the game. I didn't like the rule set, but I got all of the books because I loved the lore of the the modules and the, kind of comparing the superpower levels and so forth. And there was an atlas of the DC universe. It was put out by the role-playing game. It wasn't technically canon to the comics, but it did its best to try and canonize the locations of the fictional places in DC Comics. So Metropolis, Gotham City, Star City, Central City, Fawcett City, right? Quirac, and all these other fictional places. So what I did was I photo edited a map on the computer, put all of these locations into them, like a world map. And then I started putting in like Landview, Pennsylvania, and Port Charles, because in my head canon, these were all, in the same universe.
Nice.
But so there you go. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. This is a really, really good picture.
Should I move on to Satorans?
Yeah, let's give him a chance to say something, for crying out loud. I've kind of
All right.
monopolized the whole
Now,
conversation.
these images may not correspond to what you're talking about, but we'll do our best. John Black from Days of Our Lives.
Yep.
And let's get a picture of him up. There we are. Look at
So,
that.
Good looking guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he originally started out as a minor league baseball player, the actor.
Wow.
Got hurt, and then he went into acting, and his first big role was on and I did not know this show existed, now I want to find it. Apparently, there was a Seven Brides for Seven Brothers TV show.
I remember that. We didn't actually watch it, but I remember its existence. Yeah.
Was it a musical?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. He was one of the brothers. I forget
obviously.
which one. But, and so I realized to tell John's story, I need to segue back a few years before his debut, because his story is tied in with another character. And so I started with Roman Brady, who was played by Wayne Northrup. Now, when he was brought to the show, Days had been on for about 16 years. And it had finally run its first serial killer storyline. And this killer was going around, trying to kill the character of Marlena Evans, who, you'll see that picture, the lady right in the middle, Deirdre Hall. Mm-hmm. That was the character that was being targeted. Yeah. And so Roman was brought in to protect her. And the two of them during the storyline, they started to show some chemistry between the two, and they started to fall in love. And eventually, it seemed like Marlena got killed by the killer. But here's the thing: Marlena had been on the show for, like 5 years at that point.
Was that the killer?
I don't think so.
Okay, never mind. Okay.
Yeah. No, actually, I'll tell you who the killer is, because this one's actually kind of interesting. But she had been on the show 5 years longer than Roman, and she had this. Her whole storyline was, her romance with a guy character named Don Craig, losing her first child to SIDS. Like, that was a big storyline, and her fractious relationship with her twin sister, Samantha. So, and she was actually played by Deirdre Hall's real-life twin.
Wow.
And so everybody thought Marlena had died, and they had like their very first writing campaign to like save a character, and it turned out the killer killed Samantha instead of her. Well, yeah. Roman catches the killer. It turns out to be a character named Jake Kosetic, who was played by Jack Coleman, who, fans of 80s dramas will know him as Steve Carrington, the second Steve Carrington on Dynasty. And nerds will know him as Mr. Bennett from Heroes.
Oh my gosh, yes! Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but his brother was played by Josh Taylor, who was Michael Hogan on the Hogan Family.
I remember that show.
Yeah.
I always get him confused with Jason Bateman.
Yeah,
I always get those two
yeah.
confused with each other.
But yeah, so he was on the show, and eventually the Hogan family pulled him away, and he ended up leaving. But he will be back later at a later date, not as the same character though.
Oh, that's interesting.
So Roman's big contribution, in truth, was bringing his family to the show. He brought his parents, Sean and Caroline, which were that older couple you saw in one of them. Oh, no, yeah, those two right there.
Yeah,
Sean and Caroline, and his brother Bo, and his sisters Kimberly and Kayla. That's his big legacy, because after John enters the scene, you kind of forget Roman exists.
I think that's Bo on the left there, but you don't get his.
No, that's
Okay.
That's
somebody else.
That's the second Roman. That's Josh Taylor.
All right. Anyway,
but yeah, so the other big thread. So Marlena and Roman, they have their romance. His ex-wife Anna comes to town.
oh, is that Anna right here?
That's it. Yes, that is.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
That's Anna. So, and so they're trying to, they're getting divorced. They end up signing the divorce papers, and Roman's daughter Carrie comes to stay in town, but Anna ends up falling in love with another character, which is the next big thread of the story. Roman ends up with this feud with a character called Stefano Demira. And Stefano's is hold on. I'm sure he'll
I'll bring it up. It's okay.
Yeah,
Keep
so-
talking. Okay.
Stefano's sort of this I like to call him the discount Blofeld. He's this that gentleman right there on the you just passed.
I got a
him.
better picture.
Oh, yeah.
There we no, sorry.
It's all right.
I'm sorry,
There
it's
it
so slow. Okay, there we go. There he
There
is.
Now, if you recognize him, that's Rex Smith from Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Honestly, I
Right.
think he'd have been a better Kingpin, but that's a completely different story.
Yeah,
Um,
I see what you're saying.
so-
yeah.
He's this big character. He's this big villain. Anna ends up falling in love with his son Tony, and they get married. A bunch of stuff happens, but he's this big crime boss, and Roman's trying to take him down. Leads into a second serial killer storyline, where it seems like Roman's going around just killing prostitutes, but it turns out that it's actually originally you think it's Stefano's son Tony doing it. But then the big reveal comes that it's actually it's going to sound ridiculous, but hey, fun.
Yeah.
Stefano's nephew, Andre. He had plastic surgery to look just like his cousin, and he's the one killing them.
Not the blonde
However-
guy.
What? No. No, he's
Okay.
got dark hair.
I don't know. He popped up under serial killer on the show. Okay.
Oh,
Never
I'm
mind.
trying to remember who he is. But the problem is Andre ends up killing one of Stefano's other children, a character named Renee Dumond, who he fathered with a character named Lee Dumond. Lee Dumond was played by I believe her name was Brenda Benet. She was married to Bill Bixby.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That was so a couple of Incredible Hulk connections.
Yeah. Well, this is what I was saying. You'd be watching one show and be, oh, that's so and so, or that person is married to so and so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sounds like a scene out of Casino Royale. What's going on here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So eventually, Andre ends up killing Renee, which turns Stefano against him. It all culminates in this giant storyline where. Oh wait, hold on. I have to remember what I wanted to say first.
Mhm.
First, then Marlena ends up pregnant with with twins.
Of course.
Twins named Samantha after her late sister, and Eric after one of Roman's uncles. But as that happens, Roman and Stefano come face to face, and the gun goes, and there's a gunshot, and then Roman falls seemingly to his death. Bo pursues Stefano. Stefano escapes, and also lets Andre seemingly die. But oh, trust me, Andre will be back. Bo goes back to try and find his brother's body, but the body's gone, facilitating a potential return or recast. And here's where John's story begins. So, Marlena seemingly kills Stefano, but he escapes to fight another day. So she goes back to her life in Salem with her children, mourning her husband, raising her kids, and getting back to her career as a psychiatrist. Well, in 1985, we were introduced to a character named Victor Kiriakis, and he was played by John Aniston, Jennifer Aniston's father.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
Yeah, and he comes to Salem, and he's having this poker game with the director of an organization called the ISA. And during it, they meet up with this guy named Ilyon Petrov, who was one of Stefano's right-hand men. And they have this guy called the Pun. Now, he's wrapped up in bandages. You got no idea who he is. Well, they go to... He tries to sell him off, but he gets away. He goes to the Vietnam Veteran Memorial, picks out the name John Black, which actually is a name on the wall. I looked it up.
Wow.
Yeah, and he ends up in Salem. The mask, the bandages come off, and it's Drake Hutchison, and he ends up getting a job at Salem University Hospital where Marlena works. And the two of them end up becoming friends. He kind of tells her, I don't have any memories of who I am, on and on and on. Well, he ends up saving her from getting mugged, and she decides to help him with his issue. And time goes by, and they start to think, maybe this guy's Roman. Stefano just had his face changed and tried to brainwash him into being one of his assassins. So eventually it's kind of accepted that this is Roman. He rejoins the police force. He's doing his cop thing, enjoying the fact that he's married to Marlena and he gets to be with his children again. Then a shadow from his past comes into play. You find out the ISA organization that I mentioned, Roman was an agent there. And he had this partner called Milo Harp, who forever is known now as Orpheus. And I can't believe how stupid I was not picking up on that. Milo Harp, Orpheus was a musician.
Oh.
And also What Happens Next. So back in the 70s, him and Orpheus were supposed to be meeting with KGB agents. Orpheus's wife, Rebecca, realizes they're about to be double-crossed. She goes to warn them. In the crossfire, Roman shoots her. Orpheus resigns and begins to plot his revenge against Roman. And, so he springs his trap. He kidnaps Marlena. Roman finally is able to track them both down. Him and Orpheus get into a fight. He seemingly kills him. He rescues Marlena. But then the plane she's on explodes.
Oh, gosh.
This was to facilitate Deirdre Hall's exit from the show because she had a show with Wilford Brimley called Our House.
Oh, right.
Oh.
And she was also doing shows like Columbo and Wise Guys, and she couldn't keep up with the schedule. So Roman finds himself alone. And so, they decide, okay, we're going to just leave Drake alone for about a year, see if he's popular on his own without needing Marlena to sort of balance anything. Except they don't really keep their promise, because in comes Diana Colville, who, I have to say, this was a casting coup. They got Jeannie Francis. Hot off of Luke and Laura.
Right.
And,
Is that her?
Mrs. Jonathan Frakes, by the way.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
That is her. Yeah. So, they've got their own little things, and Victor, meanwhile, is committing his machinations, and her mother is trying to cause problems. But, they're getting closer, and they almost get married. Then a storyline happens that shows that things might not be right with Roman. So by 1988, Stefano's back. And there's he's trying to retrieve a character named Benji Hawk, who's actually his son. Now you find out that Benji's grandfather Orion, was basically the guy who trained Roman in Jeet Kune Do, which is the Bruce Lee martial art, which Drake Hogestyn was a practitioner of. John Black was essentially supposed to be Jason Bourne.
Right.
And the writers were not shy about this. So Stefano's able to control him because he's got like a sleeper code. And so he starts telling me, no, Roman, you killed this boy's mother. Stefano actually did it. But he ends up kidnapping Roman's daughter, Carrie, in exchange for Benji. This whole story brings them to the island where Roman seemingly died 4 years earlier. So he uses the activation phrase, which almost gets Roman to kill Diana, his sisters, and their husbands. But Diana snaps him out of it. He chases them. They fight on the same rocks Roman fell off of, and Roman almost knocks Stefano off. But then one of Stefano's henchmen takes Diana captive, so he has to choose between letting Stefano fall or saving his girlfriend. Well, if she falls, if he falls, she dies. So he lets him go. Tracks him down, and Stefano ends up getting his plan scuppered because Benji finally realizes Roman's not the bad guy, his father is. But then he points out Marlena might still be alive. And then he takes off. Well, Jeannie Francis ended up leaving the show in 88. Next started his romance was Yvette Dupree. Now, this one is a serious one. It was more that Victor was interested in her, so he wanted to tweak his nose. But Victor will play a hand in his next big romance. And that is with the character of Isabella Toscano.
Is that the princess lady?
Nope, that is a totally different story. That is...
Sorry, forget it.
Okay, it's okay.
No. This is good stuff.
Yeah, so...
Not her either, right? That's his original wife, right? Okay.
That's Kristen.
Okay.
But yeah, Isabella's I don't know if she's in there, but
I don't think I had her. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. So next big romance, Victor turns out to be her biological father. Oh, and I forgot to mention this, but he's also the father of. He's actually Beau's biological father too.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was like the other big surprise from the 80s. So during this big event called the Cruise of Deception, Isabella's stepfather Ernesto wants to basically spring a trap on Victor, who cuckolded him, and Isabella, who he blames for killing his his actual daughter. So they end up getting trapped on an island. Roman and Isabella are, they're together by the end of it. Ernesto dies at the end of the story, but so does Roman's sister-in-law, Hope, which is the princess lady. I swear this will be important later. So, Isabella and Roman, they continue their romance, they get engaged. Then something weird happens. Marlena and Roman, the original Roman, start being spotted in Europe. So, the Roman we shall now call Foeman, he goes off to try and solve the mystery. And Isabella says, if Marlena's still alive, I'm not going to stand between you. She doesn't tell Foeman that she's pregnant.
Oh, gosh.
So, it turns out the Roman we've been following for the last 5 years isn't the real one.
What?
Yeah, it turns out Stefano had taken Roman, had kept him captive for the last 5 years, and switched him out with this guy. And he was also responsible for what happened to Marlena. So Roman Foeman, and Marlena confront Stefano, where he reveals all of it. And he says that he has the key to Foeman's past. He hands him it, and then a fight breaks out, and Stefano ends up getting shot and falling into a fire.
Of course.
Don't worry, he'll be back.
As you do. Of course. That's how this stuff works all the time.
Yes.
Did his flesh burn off too, but he'll still be back?
I don't think. I've actually never seen the scene. I wish I had. I wish I could. So anyways, Marlena and the real Roman, they're reunited. Foeman, who we will now call John for the sake of everyone's sanity, returns to Isabella. Him and Victor reach a détente. He helps John figure out that he's part of the Alamein family, which had been introduced previously with the introduction of Lawrence Alamein and his Aunt Vivian, and and a bunch of other characters that came in there. So John, because the Alameins are, well, basically nobility, they got lots of money. So he takes that money and starts his own business. And then him and Isabella get married. And while they're getting married, she goes into labor.
While they're getting married.
Yeah. So they end up getting married at the hospital. They end up naming their son Brady after the family that took him in, and Victor after Isabella's father. So Brady Victor Black is his first, biological child. And for a time, and trust me, naming them after the Brady family will get awkward in a bit.
Oh my goodness.
So for a time, the couple is happy. Until it's revealed that Isabella has pancreatic cancer. Which is also the disease that would claim the actor who played John Black's life 32 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Life imitating art, my gosh.
Mm-hmm. And she passes away not long after the fact. Now, while this is happening, after her death, John ends up meeting the character of Kristen Blake, who was the blonde, played by Eileen Davidson, who, if you watch Young and the Restless, is Ashley Abbott. Hold on, let me see. Yep, there she is. That is her.
And that's her that's her younger, I think, right? And
no, but it's still a great picture.
Okay. Yep. I'll just go with that. Okay. Anyway,
she looks
different periods.
She looks great at any age.
Yes.
So she's a social worker. He ends up saving her from getting mugged, but it turns out she's actually Stefano's foster daughter. So Tony returns, Kristen is there, so does Stefano, and Kristen's brother Peter show up. Now, around the same time, the wife of one of Marlena's patients thinks her husband's fallen in love with her, so she tries to get rid of her, and ends up chucking her into a pit. John, trying to save her, gets thrown down into the pit, and the two give into their old attraction.
Of course.
And so, after their rescue, they begin an affair that leads to Marlena getting pregnant. Now, remember when I said it was going to be awkward?
Yeah.
She's with Roman.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where it gets awkward, because,
Oh, my goodness.
And so she gets pregnant, and then Roman thinks the baby's his. But Roman and Marlena's daughter, Samantha, now called Sammy, knows about the affair, and ends up exposing them while the baby's being christened. And you want to know what they named the baby? Isabella.
Oh.
Nice. Yeah. So, knowing that they hurt the people that they cared about with their actions, they end up moving apart. Marlena tries to fix her marriage with Roman, while John ends up starting a relationship with Kristen. All three of them end up pulling together when little Isabella, called Belle, goes missing. She was sold to traffickers by her sister.
Yikes.
Yeah. They end up Sammy's kind of a bitch.
I guess.
Although she comes around eventually. But she's got her whole own story, and it's a pretty good one too. But Stefano ends up revealing to Kristen that Belle is John's daughter. Roman ends up divorcing Marlena.
Stefano, who we thought was dead.
Yes, he's alive. Now, he's trying to push John and Kristen apart. And mostly because she was betrothed in her youth to his son Tony. Awkward, I know. But John ends up and Kristen keep getting pulled together. They keep getting pulled together until you find out that once upon a time, John was a priest. Wow. Yeah, here's where this will be important because of that clip you showed earlier, Troy.
Yes.
So the devoutly Catholic Kristen finally decides she's going to marry Tony. Now, while this is happening, Marlena gets abducted by Stefano, and he tries to brainwash her into being his new wife. But that leaves her open to possession.
Yes. Yeah, let's get it. Let's get to it.
Yep.
By the way, Retro Blasting's in the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. I was getting so into the story, I wasn't...
Well, that's the thing. That's what soaps do to you. Now, look at this. Wait a minute. Did he become a deacon, or is he a full-on priest? What's going on here?
He was a full-on priest.
Yes, that is the... Right. Real quick, I want to say, he's been here for a while, and I hadn't even noticed. I'm sorry. I really
so was. So you had to take a vow of chastity, right? Or celibacy, I guess, would be the better
term. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, what happened was, so it was revealed when the night Kristen and Peter's parents died, John was there as a priest, so that's how he got caught by Stefano.
Sorry, Michael.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And Michael, check your DMs on Patreon. Trying to pin you down for a James Bond chat. I know you've been very, very busy because I've seen the updates on Patreon, which Boomer you can go check out too.
I know you are a member. Anyway, check this out though. This is some full on. What's going on here, Sir Toren?
Well,
I may have to do a deep dive on this because I saw in my research on this, it led me to a whole bunch of videos about this storyline. The actress reacting to being told she had to do this whole, Linda Blair BS and stuff. I don't know, man. Wow.
Okay, so leaves her open to be possessed by the devil because basically the head writer James E. Riley wanted to do The Exorcist on TV. Now the movie had been
no, he says no apologies. I just find it hilarious. Yes, because my gosh, this is okay. So those of you that have any kind of affiliation with any kind of fandom, right? You guys can get into the minutia of the stories and stuff. These are stories that there is a new episode every day for 5 days a week.
Yes.
52 weeks a year, right? So no weekends, but still, and it's like, and the fans keep track of this stuff, so, but here's the thing. Here's what's really awesome. The writers keep track of it too. So yes, there's a lot of things that Sir Toren is talking about where they fudge things, but at least they're acknowledging it. It's just a gloss over but it works because at least they acknowledge it,
What does the devil want? Like you said the writer wanted to do The Exorcist. What's the devil trying to do here?
Basically destroy one of the show's paragons. More or less.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, so he walked into the executive producer's office and said, The Exorcist. And the guy looked at him and was like, yes, James, it's been out for like 20 years. I want to do it. You want to do The Exorcist on TV? I want to do it good.
Oh, no.
James E. Riley.
I don't necessarily see this storyline as being good.
Shut up, it is.
Oh, God, okay. All
right.
Look,
you got the levitating body there.
Oh my God! Oh,
Is that
God, okay.
Stefano too? There in Stefano, or is he
Yes.
actually
Okay,
joining
I will
forces with
admit
John
this. I
Black
did see
to stop a
clips of
greater
this
evil?
scene.
Yes.
I did see clips of this scene, and I did honestly think, yeah, okay, the special effects here are not bad. I know exactly how this was done because this is the same way they do it in like when magicians do the levitation on stage and
Levitating
whatnot.
body, yes.
But it's like, dude, this is pretty cool. Because again, this is what I'm talking about. It's in camera, it's not relying on really bad, like late 80s, early 90s special effect, CG bull crap. It's like, okay, I can deal with this,
So the story was created primarily because people
Wait
were
a minute,
watching.
wait a minute. I know he's quoting something because I can hear the voice in my head, but I can't remember what movie it is. I admire her because she can sleep above the covers. 4 feet. Oh, Ghostbusters. Jeez, how could I not? Oh, damn. Okay. Yeah. It's Bill Murray. Right. Duh. Well, I'm well in the bag.
Look at those eyes.
The
The
contact
eyes.
lenses, I gotta say, the contact lenses, absolutely.
I saw one scene where she's being possessed. She's by the Christmas tree, and she sees an angel on the tree, and then she throws it on the ground and starts smashing it because she hates angels, obviously, because she's the devil.
The devil is an angel, right? I mean,
Well, I guess a good angel then. She saw
admittedly
like
a fallen angel, but still the most beautiful of all the angels.
Well, if we're going by Milton, yes. Anyway, but it's what did I have a question though. How often did this storyline recur? I know it's happened at least twice. Where
Yeah,
it
it's only
came
been
back.
Whenever
That was
it's Sweet
recently.
Weeks and they need ratings.
No, that was recently, like 2 years ago or
Yeah.
something, where she
Yeah.
came back and it was back, and I
Yeah.
saw her setting a Christmas tree. It's like I think she's like Mary. I think she's like ho ho or something, and then like the tree catches fire and she's laughing in the devil voice. I saw
Wow.
one series says she wants to destroy all the people of Salem.
More or less, yes.
Okay, so how did Stefano and John Black actually become allies during this? Is that what I was getting from that picture?
Yes. And she ends up picking him up and throwing him out of the window. And he ends up with, and you're gonna hear the air quotes, amnesia.
Of course.
And he ends up in a wheelchair.
trope.
And there's actually a fun scene that I wish I could find where they sat together and ate cheeseburgers, and the actor saying the word cheeseburger with his accent is one of the best things I've ever heard in my life.
I love that.
There's another, the way he said the name Celeste was another thing I liked about the way he spoke. Celeste. I can't do an Italian accent. He could though.
Oh wait, let me go back. Sorry.
So
that's another pic of her. Is that her like at a Halloween party as the devil, or is that just the horns finally coming out?
Might be a Halloween costume. I don't know.
Okay.
Wow.
Is that like?
So it was supposed.
Well, that's another trope, right? Where they have to play with the shtick, right? Where she's been possessed, but now we're gonna do the fake out and have her pretend to be possessed, right?
Like the vampire that shows up to the costume party dressed as Dracula.
Yeah, exactly right. That's right.
It's
Exactly.
like-
That's exactly right.
I think Count Yorga did that in a movie, and he's like, "Oh, where are your fangs?" The lady says, and she says, "Where are your manners?" That's what he said. You know?
Yeah.
Look at that. That's serious stuff here. Now, he became a priest for this time to stop the devil? Is that what happened here?
No, he already was one.
Oh, he already was one, so they worked that into the plot. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. So,
My gosh.
so he goes in, and it starts out on Halloween.
Wait a minute. Michael says it's Martha Stewart from hell. So Martha Stewart is what you're saying.
They do have a kind of a similar look. I didn't think about that. Yeah. I'm thinking back to that the scary
Don't look
movie
at
with
me.
James
So
Woods.
he's now doubling down on the. He knows I'm just drunk enough to go. Wait, where do I know that from? It's from friggin' Ghostbusters. It's one of your favorite movies, you dumbass.
Oh, this is so bad. This is just, I don't know. I'm thinking of the James Woods things from Not Another Scary Movie when they were redoing The Exorcist with James Woods. And like when the devil's wagging the tongue, the possessed girl's wagging the tongue at him. And he's like making cupid faces at her, like he's getting turned on. They're like, Father, pay attention. So bad.
Speaking of, I need to make a decision about Monday. I had a plan for Monday night at the movies. I may have to change it. One faction of my fandom said I need to do a Gene Hackman film. Another said that I need to do a John Lithgow since he was recently cast as
There a
Dumbledore.
movie with both Hackman and John Lithgow.
I don't know, but I was thinking if I'm going to do John Lithgow, it's got to be Buckaroo Banzai.
That's a great movie.
Because what was it? Was it you or somebody posted on social media something? No. You know who it was? It was Blaine from Comics List. Make sure you subscribe to Comics List, by the way. He was the one who I first saw. He put up an article saying that John Lithgow had accepted the role of Dumbledore on whatever the next thing was. And I put in quotes, I said, laugh while you can, magic boy.
Oh, that'd be funny.
And he goes, wow, that's really hardcore. And I'm like, I just picture him, as a young Dumbledore doing like some sort of an electric experiment and hooking an electrode up to his tongue. And I did the gif of what's his name, from Buckaroo Banzai.
Doesn't he come out speaking with an Italian accent too after he gets possessed by the alien?
Yes, laugh while you can, the monkey boy.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, I don't know.
This
anyway,
is why, damn it, you cannot get offended by this stuff, right? This is why I crapped all over everybody on social media. That was like, well, yeah, you can't have Mario in a movie, with a mock Italian accent. It's like, fuck you. That's funny shit. And I'm, Italian descent. We used to do that kind of stuff all the time. Because I have a vowel at the end of my name, I can get away with it. Fuck you. Have fun with it. I don't care. Jeez, I'm not offended. You know why? Because I'm made of sterner stuff. I'm not a friggin' snowflake. Get over it, you asshole.
Well, that wasn't the reason they did it. They went with the Brooklyn accent because I think they were trying to make it more like the original cartoon.
Well, actually, that kind of does make sense. Yeah. I mean, that is a way to skirt it, but still, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. But look at that, though. Huh? I mean, levitations. We saw the split pea soup flying out of her mouth.
It was CG, though. That's the problem. It was bad 80s CG.
I was impressed with that. That was, and then she flew at him. Imagine being a kid and you're home from school or something and your mom's watching the soap and you're seeing them all nightmares for weeks.
Because that wasn't even the special effects for the day. If I was a kid watching that, I'd been like, the hell is this crap? And I'd be laughing.
And she has the heat vision like Superman had. That was cool.
I know. What the heck?
Okay, so they must get her.
Find me a shiny green rock and let's put this girl down, for crying out loud.
So she got depossessed, right?
Yes.
Repossessed. Oh, I'm sorry. That's another story.
Yes. So she got depossessed. She got exorcised, and Satan went bye-bye. Did they finally get back together then?
Not quite. And I gotta tell you, the storyline ends like a damn squib. John stands over her and just says, "One Our Father."
And that's it?
That's kind of anticlimactic.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, I guess if there's going to be a prayer, the Lord's Prayer has got to be the top one, right? I mean, that kind of makes sense.
So she gets freed. John is finally able to leave the priesthood. I mean, after you defeat the devil.
I have a question.
I want to leave the priesthood and break my vows.
Yeah.
Well,
let me cast out the demon first, and then I can send it up.
I have a question. Was he originally married to her when he thought she died?
When he was Roman, they did a vow renewal. So technically,
they were married.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when that happens? How does that work? What's the rule? Like, do you?
You know what? Wait a minute. Michael makes a great point. You get. What is it? You got to say penance. You got to say 10 Our Fathers, 10 Hail Marys, and a good act of contrition. And it's like, really, 1 Our Father is all it takes to cast out the devil? Wait a minute. Something tells me
it was said with love, because this was the love of his life, and it was the love for his ex-wife that he thought blew up.
Love
he was
for his ex-wife,
before he became somebody else, an assassin.
Who, there's some real problems with that storyline. Let me.
Oh yeah.
Although, don't even get me started. I mean, I actually don't know Sir Toren, but I know that Aged Boomer is the token Catholic on the panel. And so yes. Remember, Catholics are the only ones that I'm aware of that don't allow their ministers to get married. So let's
married men can become deacons, but they can't become priests.
Because why? Because where is that in the Bible?
Well,
in fact, in the Bible, it actually says there will come a day when man will turn away from sound doctrine. They will not allow men to get married. And it's
anyway,
like, how does the Catholic Church resolve that?
Listen,
just saying.
I'm not going to get into apologetics tonight. What I did find interesting, I did research.
I would be happy to do a stream like that.
No. Anyway,
maybe it was a Protestant exorcism where all you have to do is accept Jesus into your heart and you'll be saved. And the Konami code version of finding your faith. No, I'm with you. You, Michael.
It was interesting. I learned in the Orthodox faith you can be married and become a priest, but then if your wife dies, you can't get remarried. So that was interesting. I could be wrong there. If any Eastern Orthodox in my chat.
Well, if you want to get super Orthodox, there's very specific reasons under which you can get divorced, and this whole no fault divorce in the United States does not rise to that level. Yeah,
there's a lot of that. I have a question though. We were talking about true loves on this. I want to know about the princess lady. What was her story?
Oh, I will get to her.
That's after the exorcism.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. So I thought everything's worked out. He's found the love of his life when he was somebody else, and.
When it was somebody else.
But she's alive now, and now...
Only in a soap opera do you get storylines like this. No, I say that, but that's not true. I mean, we could be talking about Star Trek, we could be talking about Doctor Who, all of these crazy storylines kind of fit.
Okay. So, leaves the priesthood. John and Kristen, they go back to their mutual pining while Tony's doing everything he can to keep Kristen with him, even pretending to be blind. But eventually his deception is discovered. Kristen leaves him, goes back to John, and he takes it well. And, kills himself and frames John for his murder.
Oh, well, I missed
As
that.
You do.
Yes.
As you do.
So, John gets arrested, and while this is happening, Stefano's being stalked by this woman in white. Now, as it turns out, it's Rachel Blake, Kristen's mother, who everyone follows.
Why does she look like a Bond girl?
She does look like a Bond girl.
I like that choker, actually.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, but that's not who we're talking about.
Yeah. So
this is. I don't know what this scene is about, but the mask. That's just brilliant stuff, man.
I'm trying to think. This was recently.
This was like.
Was this at a funeral?
No, it might be at a wedding, and then the person getting married is not who she says she is, and he takes off the mask. I don't know.
Yeah, it might have been.
Like Mission
Actually,
Impossible style? Is that
wait
what
a
that
second.
is? Like,
What's
I
funny is they now have masks like that, you know?
Oh.
Yes, the Scooby-Doo ending. And I'd have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you damn kids.
okay, so we're not at the beautiful.
Am I
princess lady.
Am I
Okay.
misremembering the line? I think I might be misremembering the line.
Okay, so she looks dressed to the nines, but that's not who we're talking about.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so they eventually, her and Kristen find Tony's journal. It has like, details on how he was plotting his death, and John gets exonerated. Kristen, meanwhile, finds out she's pregnant. Now, while Stefano, meanwhile, trying to get away from her mother. So he fakes his death by blowing up his airplane. As you do.
As you do, absolutely.
But he resurfaces in Paris. So John, Marlena, Kristen, and Rachel all go off to Paris to try and find him. The story, unlike the Devil Possession, actually has a very thrilling climax in the Paris Underground. John catches Stefano, keeps him there, but Rachel, he ends up having to leave to go find Marlena and Kristen, who fell back and were fighting with each other. He goes back. He gives Rachel his gun. She looks over at a nearby gas tank, looks at Stefano, points it right at the gas tank, and fires.
No, that doesn't work.
Why not?
I know.
It does not work.
Yes, it does. I see it in movies all the time.
Dude, you can literally throw a match into a tank of gas and it won't explode.
Yep, no.
It is much harder than you think to light a tank of gas.
Listen to me. I used to play this video game called San Francisco Rush. And whenever
yes,
your car
because it happened in a video game, of course.
Whenever if your car would flip over and end up on upside down, it would automatically explode. Because that's what happens.
Look, they debunked this on Mythbusters. They shot bullets into tanks of gas, and it did not a freaking thing. Because you have to not only create a spark, but the spark has to light the fumes. If the spark tries to light the gasoline itself, it'll go out. You can throw a match into a tank of gas, and it'll go out. You have to slowly, if you slowly bring it, you'll blow yourself up then.
Okay.
Zippo clips. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yeah.
So Toren,
I am far enough into my stream and far enough into my drink. Without the asterisks, I wonder if YouTube would have censored that on us. I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those meddling kids and their stupid dog and that weird lesbian with the glasses.
And then it's a dog, too.
Yeah, exactly. People forget, damn it, that whole show was about the dog. It wasn't about the friggin' kids. Little bastards. No, I'm sorry, go on.
Well, explosion goes up. It seemingly kills both Rachel and Stefano. Oh, the explosion also causes Kristen to miscarry her baby, but she lies and tells John and Marlena that everything's fine. Now, this leads into a storyline involving this buck-toothed character named Susan Blake, who's Kristen's Elvis-obsessed doppelganger. Also,
of course,
played by Eileen Davidson. Stefano, who's, again, still alive, reemerges, learns of what Kristen's going to do, so he dresses up like Elvis, seduces Susan, gets her pregnant with the plan of giving her baby.
Dresses up like Elvis.
Hey, she's into that.
I'm just, oh my God.
Does Elvis show up on the show?
Well, no.
Okay. All right. No, I'm just curious because we already had Satan, so I thought maybe that would pop up. Okay.
Why not?
Yeah. So the plan was he's going to give their baby to John and Kristen. So she lures John away because John is kind of pushing away by revealing to him and Marlena that Roman is still alive. And this time, Roman comes back played by Josh Taylor.
Okay. Do I have a picture of him? Probably not.
Yep. Well, that was the one with...
Who's this? Who is this?
I think that's Carrie, and her husband Austin.
That's his daughter, right?
That's Roman's daughter.
Yes. Okay.
Son-in-law.
She's
So,
nice. Look.
Yeah. So yeah.
A lot of blonde characters on these.
Pretty, she's blonde, she's blue-eyed. I'm okay with her. Yes.
Yeah.
I have
So
a type. I just, just saying.
So turns out Roman is still alive. He had faked his death when he was exposed to a chemical agent, and he doesn't want to see his family decay. But Kristen knows where the cure is.
Stefano sounds like an Alexander Dumas novel. That's a conversation for another day, Michael. Yes. Oh, good stuff, man.
Yeah. So she says, okay, I'll give the cure if John marries me. John agrees to it to save Roman's life. And so Susan masquerades
not
as
not a good basis for marriage. Just
no,
saying.
obviously not. So Susan, she'll masquerade as Kristen to be close whenever like the baby's kicking and all that stuff. So Marlena figures out what happened, and then Kristen locks her up in the dungeon in the Demira mansion, which naturally they have.
Of course, there's a dungeon.
The possessed lady gets after she's been unpossessed, gets locked up in a dungeon.
Yes. So then Kristen ends up getting locked in the same dungeon with Marlena because Susan decides, yeah, I want John. The only person to know the truth is a character named Laura Horton, who'd spent the last 2 decades in a mental asylum. So no one believes her. So
she's in the dungeon. Oh, is there a troll with her in the dungeon? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what there isn't. There aren't orcs. They don't exist anymore.
Okay. Yes. All right. Anyway.
Just saying.
So Susan, when she's pretending to be Kristen, she inserts these like false teeth because buck teeth. Kristen's got nice teeth,
of course.
So Susan takes this bottle of champagne at John and Susan's Elvis themed wedding, and swings for the fences, and it knocks the teeth right out of her mouth and into another person's glass. So, with this final action exposed, Kristen and John are done for good, and him and Marlena finally get married in 1999 to much fanfare. So, as the new century begins, this is where the princess comes in.
Finally, this was what Boomer was asking about, the princess.
Yep.
Tell me about the princess.
So,
let me do that.
Oh, remember when I said Hope died during the Cruise of Deception?
Yes.
Well, turns out she didn't.
She didn't. How did she not die?
How did she not die? Well, Stefano managed to get a hold of her, and because Hope looked just like this one other person, the character of Gina von Omberg, who was married to a guy named Prince Philip von Omberg. So,
what country?
Oh God, what was the country called?
Germany, or is it a fake European country?
Oh, it was a fake one.
Zenda, like the
Princess Diaries, the Armageddon.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So Gina, when her husband died, they had a daughter together, Greta. So to support her daughter, she became an art forger for Stefano. While John was being, trained to be the pawn, him and Gina had a thing.
Of course.
And that's what we see here with the kissy face.
Yes, more or less. So they had a thing going on, but when he was reassigned to play Roman, she thought he had died. She went nuts. Stefano put her in an asylum because she was useless to him.
He's evil.
He is. And so when the cruise happens, he manages to get a hold of Hope, and like John, erases her memories and puts Gina's memories into her mind.
Yes, von Homburg. Exactly.
Wait a minute. No. Back up. Wait a minute. Does he have like a device that transfers someone's memory so you can do like a copy paste like he's using a Windows 95 computer to do a copy paste of memories?
He's a German scientist.
Okay.
So
with the accent and everything, right?
Yes.
With the bushy white hair and the mustache?
Oh, it's more of a ponytail and a mustache.
Okay, well never mind then. Okay.
Yeah. So
not to be too ridiculous.
Yeah. So In '94, the character Gina showed up in town, and for years she kept on saying, I'm not Hope, I'm not Hope. Turned out she was. Now, this leads into one of the most convoluted storylines the show has ever done. I know.
More convoluted than the ones we've already been talking about? Okay, go ahead.
Although I think the stuff that happened behind the scenes is more interesting.
Well,
yeah,
that's always a story in and of itself. But yes,
I mean, I will get to part of that because it does facilitate Stefano's exit. So, Stefano has, as of 2025, 12 children. 9 of them are biological, 2 are adopted, and one was he believed the kid's whole life was his son, but turned out no, it was actually the product of an affair one of his wives had. So one of his children is a character named Lexi Carver. Now, she's the chief of staff at the hospital for many, many years. Her and her husband Abe are, pillars of the community. He's the police commissioner, she's the chief of staff. They've been trying to have a kid. Weren't having any luck, so they go to adopt. Well, Stefano re-enters the picture and says, I can help you. Not out of any sort of magnanimity, but because he wants to cover his own tracks. Because after John and Marlena got married, he reactivates the chips inside of Hope and John's heads.
Is that this right here?
I believe
Wait
so.
A minute. That phrase, chips inside their head.
Yes,
This should be a warning to anybody. Don't ever let somebody install a chip in your head. They're working on that technology, people. Don't allow it.
Wasn't Bill Gates or somebody said he had something inserted in his kids or something to keep track of them or something, or some tech guy out there?
Yeah, that's a thing. You could chip your kids. You could chip your dogs. Yeah.
Look at him laughing. He's probably saying, I'm going to use you. I'm going to run you ragged. That's from Midnight Cowboy. I'm just saying.
So what happens was because Gina and John were lovers, they fall back into old habits.
Oh, yeah.
And also, Stefano may have taken advantage of Gina once or twice.
Ew!
Yeah, so because she thinks about that, yeah. So she gets pregnant. And there are 3 potential fathers. Hope's husband, Beau, John, or Stefano. If the baby's Stefano, he's going to hand it off to his daughter to cover his own tracks. Now, this whole storyline could be its own thing because it took up a whole year of story. Right? But what you do have to know is, what matters is that Lexi ended up with custody of Hope's baby. She knew that her father stole the kid, but the story concludes with Beau being revealed to actually be the father. So eventually the baby ends up back with his parents. What ended up happening, though, was the actor who played Stefano did not like this storyline. He thought it was just a betrayal of his character. So he told them, as most old Italian men will do, to fuck right off. And he left the show. And he wouldn't be back for another 5 years.
Okay. What? I guess he worked on his golf game?
No, he was on a different soap.
Oh, okay.
So, Stefano exits. John and Marlena, along with their friends, after everything that happened with this, they're at this, I forget whose anniversary party it was. Lexi was supposed to be meeting with someone they thought was Stefano. The doors open, and out steps Tony DeMira. He's alive again.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought he was dead.
Oh, yeah, well, again, none of them stay dead. And here's where they enter into playing with John's history again. So remember when I said he was an Alamein?
Yes.
Well, turns out he was adopted by the Alamains.
Oh.
His real mother was Tony's mother, Daphne DeMira.
Okay.
So him and John are half-brothers, because what happened was Tony was the one I mentioned who was the product of the affair. And John was in another affair. And since she couldn't hide the fact that his dad wasn't Italian, she gave the baby to her sister. And Tony says,
Oh.
"No, I'm a changed man. I'm a changed man. I swear, no more bad things. I'm not even talking to my father."
What do you mean she couldn't hide the fact that the baby was Italian? Did the baby start
Well,
saying? Did he come out of the grave saying, "Give me a cannoli, pronto"?
No.
You know?
No.
No.
Leave the gun, take the cannoli. That's
Yeah.
no.
The baby said
let
that.
me tell you. This is. Oh my gosh. This is some complicated. You know. The half brother sister. You know. Oh God. Okay.
Have you been paying attention?
I am paying attention to the best of my ability, but oh my gosh, this is some stuff. This is really some stuff.
Yes,
How on earth do you chronicle all this when reruns of soap operas are next to never? Yeah, they don't actually do reruns. Nor have there been complete series DVDs set. Do you have Principal Skinner Basin of VHS tapes? So here's the thing, Michael. In the modern day, they have these interwebby things called wikis, where you can look up, and people keep track of this bullshit on a literally day-by-day basis. Yes.
They're called scholars.
Oh, they're scholars. Yes, they're scholars.
Yes.
No, see, well, look, I had all this stuff right here for about 10 years. 10 years of One Life to Live, I had it down. But keep in mind, that was 30 years and many drinks ago, so I can't remember all of that. If I had some sort of way to keep track of all this, and there are very, very obsequious people, very anal retentive people that keep track of all these details in notes. And when the internet came around with wikis, they were like, oh, let me just upload all of this information. And these character histories exist. But you're absolutely right. I do not understand why the networks are missing out on the marketing here. They should be doing what comic books do, right? Comic books have a year-long span of comics. Then they do an annual, and then what are they doing now? Now they are doing omnibuses, where they compile the whole friggin' year together and re-release it, right? So it's like I'm sending Netter to eBay looking for, Action Comics number 437 to complete my collection, and she goes to me, well, can I just get the 1984 omnibus? And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, why not? Same difference. Why are they not putting out DVDs of the full year of a soap opera?
I'd buy them.
Missing out here.
Well, they do have them. I think they used to at some point have the old seasons on streaming services, but they might have gotten rid of that recently.
Maybe on streaming services, but I'll tell you, the only one that's got DVDs is Dark Shadows.
That had the big set.
And there it's I don't know if they have every single one or if it's like an abridged to just give story arcs. I'm not sure.
The advantage of Dark Shadows is though, Dark Shadows ended though, or at least they stopped making seasons. These soaps have been going on for decades. That it's a hard thing to compile into a set. I'll admit that.
Well, Michael, I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the stream, but you better believe the clip that I shared came from VHS. Yes, people kept these things on VHS. I actually remember when I was in college, my mother would record these things during the day, and I'd watch them with her at night. That's how I kept up with the soap operas.
It's the
before that, I don't know what to tell you. Before that, I don't know about that. Probably like Doctor Who. There's a bunch of missing episodes, I'm sure.
Doctor Who.
Don't let us go down a tangent. I don't want to interrupt Sir Toren.
We'll save Doctor Who for another night. In fact, that might be an upcoming stream. We were going to talk about.
We probably have to do a
what
Doctor
went-
Who
yeah.
stream. Yes, absolutely. I would be
Yeah, I
happy
think
to do a
that's
Doctor
definitely
Who.
coming in the future, if not next week, if not then. In the future.
Last
We gotta
call with
talk
Doctor
about-
Who. Absolutely.
Well, what went wrong? I think maybe that would be what it is. I think. Yeah.
No, I don't even want to go there. I want to talk about classic Doctor Who from An Unearthly Child up through Capaldi, and then we're done.
We could do that. We could do that.
Yes.
That might take us a bit, but yeah, we can do that. But anyway, we're talking about what's left with this Sir Torhen.
So, Tony's saying, I'm a changed man. I'm not talking to my father.
Dude, no, wait a minute. Hold up here.
What?
The man who learned to speak a fictional language, Klingon, calling soap scholars anal retention. Look, no, dude, I'm talking about, I told you, I made fucking maps of the world where I put all the locations of the fictional DC Comics places, as well as Landview, Pennsylvania, and Port Charles, and all these other fictional locations. That's how anal retentive I was. I actually have a defunct wiki out there that chronicles all of the series. So don't even give me shit, man. Don't even give me shit. That's actually remind me when I'm sober, Boomer. We need to talk about for a last call stream.
We'll do this at some point. Yes.
Absolutely.
But anyway, getting back to this lovely series.
Yeah. So
everyone Troy doesn't like is without honor.
Okay,
Everyone that Troy doesn't like can go to the cornfield.
Troy, let's
because
finish up.
I don't like anyone who doesn't like me.
He's got to work in the morning.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes.
It's okay. So, like I said, he's not seeing his father. Eventually, he reveals that Stefano died in a car accident in Monaco, and this is the status quo for a time. Then the bodies start dropping.
Ooh.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So, in comes the Salem Stalker storyline, which is by far the most controversial storyline I think the show ever did. It's a serial killer storyline where the serial killer doesn't just drop random day players or characters who've been on the show for like 1 or 2 years. No. He's going after characters who, if you collect the time at the time, altogether it equaled 204 years.
Wow.
So, by this point, the show had aged up both of John's kids. They'd aged up Bo and Hope's son, Sean.
Well, we need to interject there really quickly. That was a very common trope in soap operas. You introduce children, and children are difficult to work with on a daily basis. So you age them up very quickly so that they can start having affairs and relationships and all that kind of stuff. One Life to Live did that too.
Get kidnapped by somebody.
There's actually a story. Okay. There was a character, and I forget who it was, who was born on One Life to Live about the same time that my mother brought me home from the hospital. And he was 20 years older than me, very shortly thereafter. And it's like,
I think that was Daniel Wolak.
Oh, right. No, I remember that name. Yeah.
Vicky's nephew.
Yes, you're absolutely right. But then her kids did the same thing. But that was when I started watching the show, and I was like, this is exactly what my mother was talking about.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, 204 years combined for these characters. So the first people to get attacked were Bo and Hope. They survived. But the first body to drop was Abe Carver.
I'm also noticing that the names in these soap operas kind of carry over to the other networks too. Bo, Hope. These were very common names in soap operas.
So who was Abe Carver?
Abe Carver was Lexi's husband. So Tony's brother-in-law, Stefano's son-in-law,
Oh.
they eventually had the baby they wanted. But on the way to the christening, he gets shot. The next body to drop is Jack Devereaux. Now, Jack Devereaux was a part of the show's original core family, the Hortons. He was married into it, which he was also connected to the Brady family and to Victor Kiriakis' family, because his siblings, his brother Steve was married to Bose and Roman's sister Kayla, and his sister Adrian was married to Victor's nephew Justin. So he's got a lot of people he's connected to. He gets hit in the back of the head with a brick and left brain dead, leading his wife to pull the plug. So then the next person to die was Maggie Horton. Maggie Horton is Hope's aunt by marriage. She's married to her uncle Mickey. Now, this is where it starts getting kind of cruel. Some of the stuff gets cruel. So, Abe gets shot. He's a cop. Jack gets hit in the back of the head. He's a witty sort of fellow, a newspaper man. Maggie gets bludgeoned to death with a wine bottle. One of her big storylines is her being a recovering alcoholic. But this is the point where they realize they may know who the killer. It might be someone they know. Mickey gets attacked, but he survives. So then Bo and Roman's mother, Caroline, is the next to die. She gets poisoned at the memorial service for the previous 3. Marlena gets attacked there too, but she survives. Cassie Brady, who was a character that was introduced early on, which is one of Roman's other daughters, she's one of the only characters who was on the show for about a year. She gets slashed multiple times and stuffed into a piñata.
Oh!
Yeah. Roman, and then Roman's the next man to fall. He gets his throat slashed just as he realizes who the killer is.
I need to very quickly ask Mark Melnikoff, who was the Romulan? He was the head of the colony that Worf was at that had the Klingons from Kittimer. Do you know who that was and who the actor was? I've been drawing a blank, and that was relevant to what we were talking about here in the soap opera talk.
So
side note, go on.
Roman says you see him turn around to the looks directly into the camera and says, "It's been you all along," and then he gets killed, right?
More or less, yeah. And he actually gets killed at his wedding. And
at his own wedding.
Yeah, the killer takes the bride and groom figurine and stuffs it down his throat. The next one to drop is Tony. So he's declaring that, he knows who the killer is, and he's making a big deal out of it, and he's going to reveal it at this charity circus, which for whatever reason had a tiger. Well, he ends up getting mauled by the tiger. They take him off to the hospital. He survives the mauling, only to be killed with an air bubble. And the killer is revealed to be Marlena.
Of course.
No.
The next one to die. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, the 8th victim is Doug Williams, Hope's father, the gentleman who was played by Bill Hayes. Here's my favorite part of that story. So, when they told him your character's going to die next, he said, okay, I will do this on 2 conditions. 1, I can fight back, and 2, I get to expose the killer. And they went, yeah, sure, what the hell?
Well, it's funny because this is an incredible dynamic of these daily shows, because sometimes the actors have great ideas related to plot lines. So they're like, yeah, actually that's a good idea. Yeah, let's do that thing. Yeah.
So it's Marlena. It's devil possessed lady.
More or less, yes. She's not devil possessed though. Here.
Okay, she's just nuts. Okay.
Yeah. So
she's just knucking futz.
So she gets she stabs him at the grave of Tom Horton, who was the show's original patriarch. Like, show's original patriarch, the Horton original patriarch. He's at the grave. He actually like writes like down in his own blood who the killer is on a note, and that leads to the final death. Alice Horton, the matriarch of the Horton family, and the show, played by Frances Reed. May she rest in peace. And she was always known for being this sweet old lady who loved to make donuts for her family, and she gets suffocated with those.
Oh, wow. With the donuts.
Meanwhile, while this is happening,
death by chocolate eclair, or
yeah,
chocolate donut, I guess. Okay.
As this is happening, Victor gets killed, and a Brady family cousin named Colin Murphy get killed too, but they weren't killed by the serial killer. Now, Marlene is eventually caught and exposed, claiming that the last decade with her relationship with John was a lie, and she was really in love with Roman. Funny that she killed him. And she's sent to prison only to be killed in a prison break. Naturally, all this and all of the deaths leave John and their families devastated. Then something weird happens. See, killing off a bunch of characters that people like turns out wasn't a good idea. So they were just furious. So the will of the fans resurrects everyone. Now it turned out they're on this island called Meliswen because we're in Neilbog territory.
Yes.
Right. Oh god, I'm trying to remember. It turns out it was, to my knowledge, best of my knowledge, it was an event constructed by Tony. He pretended to kill all these characters to get his, revenge. While this is happening, though, John ends up kind of getting closer to Roman's widow, Kate. And Roman and Marlena do an inverse of what happened a decade prior. And they sleep together, and she gets pregnant with his kid.
What year was this happening?
2004, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So, eventually John figures out what happened with Marlena and Roman. Him and Roman get into a fight. Marlena ends up suffering a fall and miscarries the baby. She ends up getting amnesia. And she ends up finding out about her first husband. And then they introduce her original first husband, Alex North, who was played by Wayne Northrup. So that means all three actors who have played Roman will have appeared in the series all at once.
So they're three Romans.
More or less. But Alex isn't Roman.
Right.
Yeah, what I want to see happen is there have been 4 different actors to play one of Roman's grandsons. I want them to put all 4 actors on there at the same time.
Oh, no.
That'll be hilarious, for me at least.
So
his plan was, he was actually an abusive douche who she thought died in Vietnam. The two of them, he wants to kill her for her money. John ends up saving her. She gets back her memories. And then her and John are reunited. And they're reunited by, of all people, Smokey Robinson.
the Smokey Robinson.
Yes. He showed up on the show and sang.
The singer?
Himself?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't care what they say about believing. Okay.
So, 2006 rolls around.
Guys, if that clip at the beginning didn't get me struck by YouTube, then I just did now. So if you're still here, any support you can give me, I'd appreciate. Just saying.
So as 2006 rolls in, Marlena's daughter Sammy is having her own problems because she's about to get back together with the character I mentioned, Roman's grandson Will, his father, but there's another character introduced called E.J. Wells. Well, a bunch of stuff is happening to the Brady family. It seems like they're accidents, but somebody's pulling the strings. And it turns out that E.J., do you remember the baby I mentioned with Kristen and John? Susan's baby? Yeah, they aged him up in like 8 years. They turned him into like a nearly 30-year-old man.
Cool.
Yeah.
That happens.
So his plan was he wants to marry Sammy and have a kid with her. And the reason for it is because Stefano is actually still alive, but he's dying.
No.
So John and
No,
Marlena...
they never die on these shows.
Oh, yeah.
That's not how
So
it works.
John and Marlena go to Italy. They see Stefano's alive. And the plan is take the baby, use the stem cells to save Stefano's life. Now,
because stem cells are magic.
yeah, basically this was in 06 when people thought that.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right.
It was that episode of South Park where like Christopher Reeve was eating the babies and getting stronger.
Yes, and Gene Hackman was in that episode too. As I recall.
Gene Hackman, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, and it was going to end the Brady DeMira feud. Now, this is the big retcon of the Brady DeMira feud. Originally, it started because Roman was a cop and Stefano was a criminal. But now, it turns out it stretches back decades further into the past. It actually starts with a star-crossed love story between Stefano's father and Roman's Aunt Colleen. And there's a bunch of different things that happen, but on New Year's Eve, Sammy's fiance, Lucas, is kidnapped by E.G. He coerces Sammy into sleeping with him to save his life. John, meanwhile, gets into a confrontation with E.J., gets shot, and spends half of 2007 in a coma. This was to facilitate the guy's vacation. So, he wakes up around April, and the only reason I remember the date is because my one cousin was born in March of 07.
Right.
And I didn't get to meet her until the next month, and I'm at my aunt's and uncle's house, seeing the baby for the first time, watching this happening.
Okay.
So, John misses most of the DeMira family feud, except for with one exception. Okay, so you remember way back at the beginning of this when I mentioned Tony's lookalike cousin Andre?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. This is when the show dropped, I think, the best bombshell ever. In June of 07, they brought back the character of Anna DeMira, Roman's first wife. And she says, yeah, no, this is not Tony. Tony doesn't act this fucking nuts.
Uh-huh.
And she says, it could be Andre. Turns out, somewhere between 1985, when Tony exited the show, and 93, when he seemingly returned, Andre grabbed him and switched places. So for the last 14 years, the guy saying he was Tony DeMira was actually Andre.
You following this, Troy?
I am, actually.
So,
yes.
He comes back, he joins forces with the Bradys and John to try and bring down his father and his crazy cousin. Stefano ends up joining up with them once he realizes that Andre's too far gone to actually save.
Yeah, I guess that means a lot if Stefano thinks you can't be saved.
Yeah, because Stefano ends up killing, you remember little Benji? He came back as an adult, and Andre ended up killing him.
Boo!
Of course.
Yeah. So Andre ends up falling off the roof of the hospital twice. The ladder finally puts him in a...
What happened to Nitty? He's in the car.
So he ends up ending himself to try and frame the Brady family patriarch Sean for his death. But Andre's death sets off this chain reaction. And he had hired a hitman to take out any member of the Brady family or anybody close to them should anything happen to him. While John and Marlene are leaving I believe they're leaving a church because their daughter Belle had just gotten married. John sees the car coming at Marlena. He pushes her out of the way, gets hit with it.
Of course.
And he seems to die. And this is where I thought was going to be the end of his story. I genuinely thought this was the end when I first watched it in 07. And so John dies. Only it turns out that he was locked underneath the DeMira mansion with Stefano's crazy German friend, Dr. Rolf.
Oh, he's still around.
Yep.
This is soap opera's logic for you guys.
Mhm.
Just stay with us.
Yeah. So Marlena finds him, learns John's alive, but he's got no memories of what he wants, of who he used to be. He's basically a cyborg, and this was one of my favorite eras because the actor was really funny in it. And next
He
comes
was acting like a cyborg,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
like
And he doesn't.
Terminator.
Yeah. More. Yes. And so he doesn't get along with anyone except his granddaughter Claire, which is his daughter Belle's child. So the next retcon comes in the form of he's not really Tony's brother. He's Stefano's brother.
Dun dun dun.
Santo and Colleen actually had a son together. So he goes off to Ireland with Beau, Hope, with the elder Sean Brady, Belle, Marlena, Claire, and Belle's husband, who's also named Sean because he's Sean's grandson. Legally, anyway. They find Colleen on her deathbed. She confirms the truth. They're heading back. The plane crashes. Grandpa Sean, he sacrifices himself to save Beau, and Frank Parker, the actor, leaves the show. And funny thing, him and the actress that played his wife ended up dying a month apart in real life.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's kind of wild. So John and Marlena, they end up divorcing not long after he embraces his Demira heritage. He starts a relationship with a character named Ava Vitale, but nothing really comes of it. And he starts seeing this therapist named Charlotte Taylor. So Dr. Taylor is helping John try to regain his memories. Only, she doesn't want him to end up back with Marlena once he gets them. She tries to kill Marlena. She lies about making any progress. She's getting ready to kill Marlena when John's son Brady comes back to town. And he's saying, now he knows a lot more. The two finally figure it out. John ends up rescuing Marlena when Taylor tries to kill her, but he ends up getting crippled in the process.
Oh.
So they get remarried. John and Marlena get remarried. They leave town, and they go off to Switzerland, where there's this experimental clinic that can restore his walking abilities. And the actors were actually going to leave the show. And so for 2 years, they're not on. And for a time, there was this the briefest of moments where I thought that he was going to show up on General Hospital, because they referenced a character named Drake Black. And I thought, now that I'm thinking about it, seeing him come in as as a recast of Stephen Cassadine, or being a new Scorpio brother, great. Because so many Days actors have played Cassadines, I just want to see something like that. I wanted to see something like that.
Another Cassadine.
Yeah, but nothing came of it.
And then they come back.
Oh, they come back too.
He's walking now, right?
Yes. So they come back in 2011 to commemorate the Horton Square. And now this, I have to confess, is the period where I didn't really pay that much attention to the show. But a lot of stuff does happen in the 13 years that happens. He becomes a grandfather again. Brady this time becomes a parent. He starts a private detective agency with the character of Steve Johnson, who was Caleb Brady's husband. He gets arrested for securities fraud at one point.
Wait a minute. Is that like the whole Bernie Madoff thing?
Kinda, yeah.
They're trying to tie that into this show.
More or less, 3 years after it happened.
What do you think of that Troy?
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
that was another common trope of these soap operas, is they would thinly veil, modern commentary into the storyline. Yeah.
But yeah, they Carrie comes back with her husband Austin, and they prove he was innocent. Kristen comes back as a part of her plan to get even with John and Marlena. And she sets her sight on Brady. Andre comes back to life, and Stefano makes his final exit from the show because the actor passed away. during the show, this time period, John discovers he had another son.
Really?
Yeah, his name was Paul. He sometime in between Brady and Belle were born, he got involved with a woman named Tori Narita, and that's where his son Paul came from. Now, the big story is the show's 30th anniversary.
I think these writers drink way more than Troy does. But again, I do have to say, for as convoluted and bizarre as these storylines are, they're consistent. And when they run into inconsistencies, they figure out some way to make it work. I gotta give that to them, you know?
So, 30 years, we finally get what's supposed to be the definitive origin of John Black. So it turns out he isn't Ryan Brady, which was supposed to be his birth name. That baby died. His name is actually John Robichaud. He's the son of a charming farmer who seemingly died in the Korean War.
What?
Don't worry. We'll get
there. Because he didn't actually die in the Korean War. He survived, and he went AWOL, came back to the States under a different name. Sorry, go on.
You know what? You are almost on. You are right on the money.
Look, look, when you understand soap opera logic, you can figure these things out.
Yeah. So he ends up so his birth mother had to give him up because she couldn't afford to keep him. And that's how he ended up adopted by the Alamains. He meets his his birth mother, and she ends up leading him into a trap, meaning there's something else going on.
I'm just really glad that sentence didn't end with he met with his birth mother and fell in love with her and they had a kid together or something.
Yeah, no. So him and Paul end up working together to sort of uncover the fact that his father was a man named Tim Robichaud. He didn't die in the war, but defected. He basically pulls a Don Draper on a dead soldier, U.S. soldier in Korea named Joseph Bell, and becomes the head of a group called the Winterthorn Academy, a boarding school that brainwashes children into becoming tools of communist causes. Because remember...
Which is funny, because that's pretty much all public schools today.
Yeah. So,
just saying.
So remember, the guy who had him originally was a dude named Elion Petrov. So that ties right in. So John tries to bring his father to justice, but the dude bites down on a cyanide tablet. And he escapes justice. Oh, and he was played by Tobin Bell from the Saw films.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
So from there, John clashes with the returning Orpheus, Marlena's double Hattie Adams, an AI resurrected Stefano. Yeah, that's a thing.
That's funny.
Yeah, an AI resurrected Stefano, and the devil comes back. Okay.
Satan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It possesses Marlena. It possesses a bunch of different members of the family, the members of the DeMiros, the Blacks, the Bradys, the Hortons. All of them end up getting possessed at some point.
In the soap opera stories, Jerry Springer could not. He would have too much material to keep up with.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then John also becomes a grandpa again. Kristen, because I do not know how they managed to pull this off because the character was in her 50s, but Kristen gives birth to Brady's daughter, named Rachel Isabella Black after both of their mothers. Diana also comes back, played by a different actress, with her son Leo Stark. Originally, you think Leo's John's son, but it turns out to be a big lie. And then finally, the last big story that I know of with John happened in 2023. It turns out Tim Robichaud was still alive, but the one that he fought with wasn't him. And guess who played John's real biological father? Dick Van Dyke.
Wow. Wow.
So when he won the Emmy for, like, it became one of the oldest Emmy winners, that's what he won it for.
Wow.
Okay, wow, that's impressive.
So
little side note, this implies to me that this is how the entertainment industry works. You want to give an award to somebody, hey, just take this role, slum it a little bit, play this role for a little bit, we'll give you an award. And I'm not even kidding.
I don't know. Yeah. And so his last scene was on, I think, 2 weeks before the actor died.
Wow.
And it was him talking to his grandson Tate about stuff that was going on in his life. And as of right now, the character is still MIA. The writers know how the story's going to end because they had talked to him prior to his death and said, hey, listen, if worst comes to worst, what do you want to have happen?
Oh, wow.
That's actually kind of nice that they do that.
Yeah. They said, because, like, hey. So, in summation, he's my favorite character because he's easily daytime's answer to Wolverine.
I dig that. I kind of dig that. Yeah.
See,
but, yeah.
One Life to Live is probably my favorite soap. But I love, like, Days of Our Lives in General Hospital's, like, wild-ass cloak and dagger storylines.
Yeah.
He's the exemplar of that.
There you go.
And it's why I love the character.
I did want to I didn't want to interrupt you, but I did want to talk about the actor Alan Scarfe. Scarfe? I don't know. He was the one that was in that One Life to Live, holding the gun on what's her name that I was talking about. He was the one that I meant that was he was from that Eternia or whatever. But he also played, oh God, what was the name of the character? Give me a second here. He was in Star Trek. He played an admiral, or a Romulan admiral. Oh damn! My between my drunk ass and my Control F, Star Trek. Why are you not finding Star Trek for me? There we go. No, he was in Star Trek Voyager. He played August, but no, that's not the role I meant. Star Trek The Next Generation. He played Tokath in, he played two different roles, Tokath and Admiral Mendak, in 2 episodes. So he was in the episode Data's Day, and he played the role of Tokath in, damn it, I don't remember what episode it was. I want to say Birthright, but I may be wrong. Anyway, I just wanted to be able to credit Evelyn Hampton and Mark Melnikoff for bringing that to my attention, because I'm not clear-headed enough to have remembered that. But the Defector, Admiral Jirok. Oh, I had forgotten that role. Yes, exactly. And cool. He was in Birthright 1 and 2. There you go. Right.
Cool beans.
That was the Romulan with the Klingons and that whole thing. So
all right.
There you go.
So there, it all comes back to Star Trek.
It kind of does. I didn't,
Star Trek think about and Falcon Crest.
and Dynasty and Buck Rogers. I mean, oh my gosh, right? All this stuff kind of ties together. Mm-hmm. And this is why I was saying, for all of you that are like, what is all this soap opera bullshit? Well, it all ties into the fandoms that we all love. It really does. So do we have anything else in the slideshow? Or are we done?
That's it.
That's it. Awesome.
That's it.
So I do want to thank our guest, Sir Toren Clegane. Yeah, this was a great topic. I super appreciate it. You also gave us a lot of ideas for some future ones. And Age of Boomer, I hope you remember them because I won't remember them tomorrow after I sleep. And real quick, I want to say thank you to Lady Miss dropping all the she's doing all the blue wrenchy things. She's dropping the links, she's dropping the emojis, and encouraging us. And I thank you so much for that. The ritual with Toch was a Klingon rite of passage we'd never seen before. Yes, that's absolutely true. I do want to. What was it I was going to say? I don't remember. Mm-hmm. I am trying to wrap this up because I know Sir Torren does have to get up for work tomorrow.
What are you doing tomorrow night?
So tomorrow night is Saturday night. Oh. So we're going to be over on Netter's Network for the movie Firefox with Clint Eastwood. Guys, everybody who is our age knows this movie from cable. Those that don't, definitely tune in. You're going to love this movie. This is brilliant stuff. Real quick, speaking of Netter's Network, those of you that are of the praying mind and who are of the whatever your hoodoo is, please send it Netter's way. She's been having some joint pain in her hand, and she could really use some encouragement, some prayers, and whatever mojo you could send her way. Super appreciate.
Definitely.
So that's Saturday night. Sunday night. Well, Sunday night you may have to refer back to Thursday for deleted scenes, coming attractions. He tells you everything he's got coming for the weekend. But I've got a lot of work ahead of me to put the notes together for Geeky Geezers. You want to kind of give a little teaser for that?
Unfortunately, a lot of people passed away this week. In fact, we had another one today.
Like half the show is going to be in
remembrances. And then we'll talk a little bit about...
The other half is going to be all fucking Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, well.
Lots of annual news about Kathleen Kennedy. She's not fucking going anywhere.
Okay, well, that's the spoiler. What are you doing?
Right.
Anyway, and we're going to talk about layoffs at Warner Brothers Games and a remake of an Italian horror movie in a series form, which I'm actually rather intrigued by. And that'll be good old days. And then
I'm gonna have to go back to that because I never saw the original movie that you've been talking about.
Well, I'll talk about it. I'll try not to spoil it too much. All right, but yeah.
You know I don't care about spoilers, but okay.
Cool.
So that's Sunday. Monday. You know what? I'm probably gonna have to talk to Boomer. He'll help me decide what we're gonna do for Monday. I was originally gonna do because last week source code didn't work for me. I think the source code is corrupted. But then I started thinking would do the Tom Cruise Edge of Tomorrow film. But now I'm starting to think maybe we need to do a Gene Hackman film. You know, so Nate dropped a $2 super chat for Netter saying do feel better, Netter. Better Netter, it rhymes. That's sweet. Thank you very much, Nate. That's cool. Thank you. But so yeah, Boomer will help me figure out what we're doing for Monday's Monday night at the movie. But then Tuesday will be over on Deleted Scenes, the part 2 of my breakdown of the secret history of Twin Peaks. And followed by, on my channel, the next episode of Blake 7. Thursday on Netters Network, as far as I know, we don't have a guest for Thursday, but there will be a Thursday thing. So make sure you tune into Netters Network on Thursday at 9:00, and it'll be a surprise what we're going to be talking about. And that brings us around to next Friday. Boomer and I will be talking about that. And yeah, we're already getting suggestions like Evelyn suggesting Bonnie and Clyde. I hear that.
Okay.
There's a lot of them. The what's it? Oh, what was that one? The something connection.
French Connection.
The French Connection. There's actually a lot of good Gene Hackman films. Yeah. And this is even not even thinking about any of the Superman movies, which we're going to be doing anyway.
Yeah.
Over time. So yeah.
I have some news on cause of death for Gene Hackman.
Was it confirmed, CO?
No.
No?
Apparently, his pacemaker stopped working on the 17th, and they think he died right around that time.
Oh.
Although they haven't come to any conclusion for the wife and the dog, but they apparently have been dead long enough to start becoming mummified.
Yeah, I heard the mummification talk about the bodies, which all that means to me is they're living in an arid climate and they haven't been found for a while.
Yeah,
so that in and of itself doesn't mean a lot.
They think that they've been dead for several weeks.
Several weeks?
Yeah, although the last ping whatever for his pacemaker was the 17th. So they think he might have died right around that time.
Jeez, yeah. There's a lot of story there. There's a lot of questions and talk regarding Michelle Tagenberg. We'll kind of touch a little bit on that as well on Sunday. Yeah, a lot of just not good, not good stuff. At least as we talk about Roberta Flack, seems like natural causes, long life. We'll just kind of be talking about her contribution to music, but yeah. Oh yeah, Mississippi Burning's a heavy duty one. Absolutely, Mark. That's a great point. But so yeah. So that's that'll be Sunday. And again, all of the stuff that Deleted Scenes is doing on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. That brings us around to next Friday, and Boomer will help me figure out what we're going to be talking about next week. We talked about a bunch of topics we could bring up next week.
I'll talk to you about Sunday. I have some ideas what we talked about.
You got some ideas. Good. Yeah. Good, wonderful. So I hope you guys all enjoyed it. It was a different one, but again, this is storytelling, right? This is fandom. This is maybe not your fandom, but I think you guys can relate to it. And again, we're talking about actors that permeate, all the fandoms you love. Wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do a stint on soap operas, right? Uncle Jesse from Full House was on the soap operas, right? Rick Springfield was on General Hospital, right? I remember I used to record songs off the radio. Shh, don't tell the feds about that. But I used to record songs off the radio, and I remember a local DJ talking about Rick Springfield. Rick Springfield, he's from General Recording Studios, and then he mentioned like 2 or 3 other people that appeared on General Hospital that were musicians as well. Didn't I say Uncle Jesse from Full House? I know there was a bunch of others. These guys, they were all over. We didn't even get into the Luke and Laura thing, which was That was a storyline, right? You know, Stockholm Syndrome becomes a love story. Don't even get me started on that. That's a whole other thing. So let's wrap this up. Sir Torren, any last words on soap operas or anything else you want to share before we end the stream?
Not at the moment, but I might have an idea for another one somewhere down the line.
Okay, DM me about that. We'll figure that out. Absolutely. Age of Boomer. Thoughts? Last words?
No, just this was very illuminating. It's a bit of a noodle scrambler.
Didn't even realize, right? Didn't even realize what you were getting into with something.
It was pretty cool, though. Yes.
Netter, last thoughts, last words before we end the stream?
I am very tired.
Netter is very tired. She's got a sore hand.
Right.
It's been a long day. It's been a long week. And everybody, again, send the prayers and the good thoughts Netter's way. She could really use them. I could use them too, but I don't want to take anything away from Netter. So guys, thank you so much. You guys really are the reason I keep doing this every week. I just want to thank you guys. The Martini Gallery, the whole idea behind Last Call was the whole Friday decompress from the week, and guys, you guys really do embody that for me. You guys really keep that spirit alive, and I super appreciate it. So thank you, everyone. Take care of yourselves, because I need you guys in my life, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.
The neon lights are fading, closing time is near. Whispers in the corners, secrets shared sincere. The bartender's polishing the final glass. Time slips away like moving through the grass. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true. One more round, friends, from me and you. Let's toast to the night, to the stories we've spun. Here's to the laughter and to what's begun. The shadows are dancing as we linger still. Every clink of a glass, a memory to distill. Beneath this smoky haze, our feelings they unfurl. A tapestry of whispers in this corner of the world. The jukebox serenades us with a final tune, crooning to the lonely and the lovers under the moon. With every soft note, the end draws ever near. But in this fleeting moment, there's nothing to fear. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true. One more round, friends, for me and